rolling.
Get me on.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our last installment of Survivor Canberra. No one's watching it. There's an echo.
Sorry, is that better?
Yes, no one's watching it yet. That's good. So yeah, welcome back. The Starfight it's one of the last installment. Today is going to be a long one. We'll have our recap, and then we have Ben, and then we have Dan and Olivia, and then we got Charlene. So that's like three people to go through. There's actually no one.
Ooh, fun.
We're just talking to ourselves. That's nice.
All right, let's end it. That's it. Podcast is over. Nobody is coming.
No, actually, I just want to say, this is Josh. This is tomorrow will be Josh's last day doing Survivor Canberra because he will not be back for season 2.
Correct.
So might be a good thing for you, might be a bad thing for you. If you just tune in, I'm just saying Josh will not be returning for season 2 podcast. So if you want to be my next buddy, please send me a text. We can arrange some things. The criteria is that you are not spoiled. So if you are spoiled, please no.
Okay. Don't do it. It's a trap. It's a trap.
If I can't find someone, then I'm not going to do it, I guess. Anyway, let's start, Josh. I think there's a lagging on your behalf. So
look, what I'll do is I'll leave the studio and come back because it worked last time. So
okay. Yes, let's do that then. Thank you. Yes, this will be like next season will be me talking to myself, basically. Unless someone in the Melbourne Survivor people want to come on. Okay, yeah, Josh is back on.
That's better. That's heaps better. That worked. Yeah.
All right, Josh, what do you think about the finale?
Look, I love the finale episode. I was a bit confused why it was only 4 people. Usually finale is 5, but anyway, that confused me a little bit. But in saying that though, it was a great episode. It really summed up why the winner won as well, which is good. Which I was very confused about the whole season. Like looking back, I'm just like, how? But it actually summed up the way that Jeremy won, which was like really good. So I'm glad that like cleared the air and made us understand the story, because like the whole season, yes, we got the story, but it was always overshadowed by Brad. So to understand why Jeremy won actually makes a lot of sense now. So I'm glad that was like sort of the outcome that we got, and the edit for like the underdog winner was like phenomenal. It shocked everyone.
Josh, before you elaborate any further, can you just tell the viewers like why do you think Jeremy wins based on the jury?
So Jeremy had a lot of social interactions that you actually see throughout the season, and you don't really take notice of it until he starts talking about it, and it becomes a lot more apparent of why he deserves like a lot of people's votes. You know, Alex sacrificed her game for Jeremy. You've got Charlene, who votes out her loved one, like her best friend, essentially. Further down the line, and it just shows how much like social capital he had, even though it didn't look like he had any at all. Yeah. And it was like really well played, and I can't fault his game now. Like looking back, I'm just like he's done some things wrong, but it actually works out better for him anyway. So
yeah, I think we've all been overshadowed by Brad. Like the Brad edits, it's just right in your face. We just forgot. It's just a tiny little thing you do that makes a difference. You don't need to make big moves. You just need to make good connection.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jeremy shows exactly why making connections makes sense. More than like big fancy play, is more than being the dominant person. You know, it was really well done.
Yeah. So let's go back with the starting of the episode. So we see, they're talking about Hoppo left, and Charlene explained what she did for whatever her reason is.
Yeah.
that we
So
see.
it turns out that Ben knew. I don't know if this was actually in the episode or not, but I was with Ben and Brad that night. It actually turns out that Ben knew that the boys were voting for Hoppo,
Okay.
and not Charlene. But he didn't think Charlene was. And that actual conversation never got across to Ben, apparently. So, yeah, that was interesting. That was interesting to find out. But yeah, it actually just like it again shows like how much power the boys had. And like looking back, yes, was some mistakes made to get Jeremy and Brad out of the final three? Of course. It all happens, I think, essentially when they don't take out Brad instead of Keegan, potentially, or when Hoppo flips to save his game and to move forward. So that's like the turning point of why we get the final four as it is.
Yeah. Even they vote Brad out, I still think Jeremy will win, like regardless. So yeah, I think there's not much they can do if they can only restart again in the final five when Ash gone to stick all three together. But you know who can foresee that coming?
Yeah, like the thing is, like I couldn't like from a viewer point, I couldn't see Jeremy winning at all. He was like fourth on my list at the final four, right?
Yeah, me too.
But I guess like the edit like really showed why at the end, which is like I'm happy about that. I'm happy that actually showed us that. But yeah, I'm sad it's over because I really liked it. I started to like it in the end like really badly. I'm just like every week I'm just like, oh, I have to see what happens. So I am sad it's over, but onwards and upwards.
Yes.
That's what they say.
Well, obviously, you've seen season 2 live, so I guess you've seen every season of Survivor Canberra.
Yeah, I have. I feel like one of the lucky people. I do. We won't talk about anything about season 2 until Dan.
Yeah, we're not. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt said it's hard to hide a winner while also celebrating that game and giving all the credit throughout. It's hard to hide a winner.
If you were to watch the season back and just watch Jeremy's game, I think that it would be like, how did we not see it?
Yeah. I think it's every episode that's like shining things happen, like the Ash flip, don't take off your shirt off. I mean, I still have to mention it. I'm sorry. You just not focusing on Jeremy.
Yeah, and it's just the focus is always off Jeremy, and somehow it all comes back onto it.
Even with Alex going like all that focus on Alex is not about how Jeremy, managed to convince her to sacrifice herself, I guess. But yeah, it's more on like Alex's emotional turmoil to choose who to go and ultimately take herself out.
Yeah, actually, like talking more about like Jeremy's run as well. Like the first round, he's literally in a tied vote, could be going home.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, yeah. Thank you, Aston. Thanks for giving us like a really good like game, and like from that point, like they say either win or lose, right? And Jeremy got out of the losing situation and steamrolled ahead. So yeah, it was really good. I sort of want to talk about like why I think like Brad didn't win and why I think Charlene didn't win. I think they're major points as well.
Okay, right, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to start from the beginning with like the whole recap episode, or you want to jump straight in? Because I don't think we have much time to explore that many. Which do you think is more important?
Let's quickly discuss the episode.
Okay.
The final three. To be honest, the final episode is usually about final trouble, right?
Yes.
There's like one vote out and then final trouble, right? So we get like
I think we can yada yada like the challenges. It was interesting.
I like part challenges. I like challenges where it's like in parts, for sure, because it definitely like it favors somebody who's more all rounded than somebody who's just like physical, right? So it favors people that are good at hand-eye coordination, physical, and like challenge and like puzzle strength, right? So I like that idea. I feel like it adds a bit more fairness towards a game instead of just having like, imagine if it was just a plank at the final four for God knows how long. Like from a visual point of view, from like a viewing point, boring.
All depends
Just
where the location is, but I agree.
yeah, like from a viewing point of thing, I'm just like, this is boring to watch. So I'm glad that we got like different parts of the challenge as well.
Well,
From a viewing point of view.
I don't agree that throwing balls or add any more excitement to like planking and stuff.
No, but it's not. It does change it though. Like it sort of makes it exciting. Like who's going to get the last ball in?
Oh well, and well, agree to disagree, but but I do feel like the planking should be the end bits. I guess you can start with the balls. You can start with the the last part. I forgot what it is, but yeah, I think it should end with a little bit of planking at the end. I guess to make it. More like actual old school Survivor, I guess, but doesn't really matter a lot.
Or like the word puzzle could have said "Welcome to the final three."
Oh yeah.
Or like because you've won, so you've made it to the final three, and your puzzle is "Welcome to the final three." I think that would be cool.
I don't really like the word puzzle as well. It's just so hard to do. Like there's so many words. Don't really like it as a final challenge, but
I feel like if there was like how like Survivor, how they have like a cutout section, and it's like there's this many words of this word, this many words of this word, this many words of this word. I think that would have sped it up a bit.
Yeah.
It would have definitely made it like go faster, which would have been good. Which then you could have had like a big sentence like "Welcome to the final three," for example.
Yeah.
Or
I think if they want to use the perception is reality, they should have like mentioned it more often in the game itself.
In the season, at a final, like at a tribal council, even the tribal council before. Have like the tagline at the end of the tribal council be something about like perception is reality. Just so like it sort of ties in. Just so it sort of ties in. Like that phrase, I don't think was said all season.
Yeah, no. Like, if you don't watch Survivor, you're not going to get the phrase basically. So at the end, it's not going to be fair for everyone's not on equal footing. So if you watch Survivor, you would know. I mean, you have to watch a lot of Survivor. Like, perception is reality. It's not a really common phrase. And then I think Australian Survivor did it with a purgatory. So yeah, it would be nice if that's signing, but anyway, it's a small issue. We got the band almost winning it. Obviously, didn't win. Bad luck. Well, no, it wasn't bad.
What do you?
Was it bad?
Yeah, no, Ben came second.
Oh, sorry, yes, yeah.
What do you think though? Like, does Brad win at that point, or do they get rid of Brad, or do they get rid of Jeremy?
I think Brad's gonna bring Jeremy. I don't know. We can ask Brad tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about that. That's the one thing I want to ask.
Yeah.
Because Ben clearly was the person to get out because he was a challenge beast. Some people may respect it, that type of thing. But yeah. So the vote was pretty simple. I was actually shocked that Charlene was just happy to write down Ben's name. And like I applauded that. Like when I was there, I applauded her doing that because I think it shows a lot of guts to vote out somebody who has a very similar game to you and like ran along your side. Like she essentially, right, in my eyes, put herself in like she is the only one with a single story compared to the other two. Both them boys went through the same pre-merge together minus like a tribal each. And then they sort of ran the same merge game as well. So she definitely like differentiated differentiated her game against the boys. So I actually think it was a really good move. But I don't think she sold it. She sold it at the end. She didn't sell it.
I disagree with you. I think she made the wrong choice to not at least tie it, at least. Because if you're saying you're being loyal and that's her game, and then if I'm Ben, I would be a little pissed that she chooses Brad over me. Like we've been together for for so long, and Ben stick out for Charlene as well for the rock. I mean, he's not going to go out, but like, he did say like, regardless, I'm not voting you out, blah, blah, blah. I think Charlene at least could have returned the flavor, but if she tied it, I think she would at least get one Ben's vote.
You don't think though, right, that Charlene's game is like the perfect like shield game. I've got my shield. She ended up choosing the person who ended up being the challenge beast. She rid the wave with the challenge beast the whole way. She was still calling the shots from underneath, right, with Ben. And she was able to make the moves without even Ben being there, but still being able to be safe underneath Ben. And then she gets rid of that shield right at the end. Like, to steam through right to the end to be like, I didn't need him. And
well, to be honest, she's not gonna win regardless, whatever she did. Even that she did what you said, but she didn't win. She get 0 votes. If you think that move was so good, was really that good, she would at least get 1 vote. But no, she didn't get any vote. So
I feel like in a longer base game, regardless if the game was,
regardless you're saying whether she saw it or not, it doesn't matter. Like I think that the speech is like secondary. I feel like if people are going to go in and going to vote for you, they're going to vote for you. Like you probably have like a 20% chance to turn them over. I think people are set.
I mean, Jeremy's speech got a fair few people to flip.
One person,
like everyone, no, 1 or 2. Everyone was going in voting Brad.
Not really. Alex is going to vote for.
Besides Alex, I think everyone else was going to go to Brad.
So the jury, as I said, the jury was very heavy on Brad pre-jury. The jury was very
pre-final tribal council. He wrote those.
Oh,
yeah. So I feel like this jury was very up in the air of like who they're going to vote for, but their vote was going to go for Brad regardless. Like if other 2 people spoke incorrectly or correctly, their votes were going to Brad. But Jeremy was able to pull people aside. So I actually do think if Charlene actually like articulated her game a lot better than what she did, I believe that she could have earned some points for sure.
Well, the jury in the who's watching, can you just comment below whether you think Josh is right or you think I'm right? Would you vote for Charlene if she what speech you would think she's gonna give? She's gonna like, okay, I vote out, yeah, like what you said, I voted out Ben, blah blah blah. She's my shield, vote for me. That kind of.
Yeah, essentially, like she should have like owned her game of like being deceptive a bit more, because she was. And I feel like she might. No, she was though. She was deceptive to Ben most of the time. So I feel like she would have gained some more like, I don't know, some more respect, I guess, because she definitely deserved some respect.
So yeah, Brandon said Popo was one of the jury said it was Brad versus Jeremy no matter what, Sally. So well, he's one of the jury, and I one person, but we don't know what other people are thinking. But
yeah.
That's what I think as well. It's Brad versus Jeremy because I think the underdog story is just so you can't. I mean, it's so hard to overcome that unless you are right there with them, being dominant in the game. But yeah, it's just such a hard story to overcome, and I feel bad for Charlene. If she watched more Survivor, I don't know whether she's a big Survivor fan or not, but she probably would not make that kind of decisions at the end, but we don't know.
I don't know. I think they're the right decisions, personally.
But it's not the right decision when she doesn't win.
No, but I actually personally think they're the right decisions for her to get some people some votes. Yeah. I think Ben's comment is exactly correct.
I think it's possible that she could have people can win final tribal council based on how well they speak, regardless of perception going. But to be honest, I think she actually kind of given up after the first question, which ties in with the S in.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think
John
threw her off so hard. I think she just at the end she just like, nah, I'm not winning.
I tell you what I hate when people make the jury question about themselves. It is so self-centered and egocentric that I think that their vote shouldn't count at all.
I guess it's
I hate it
fine.
with a passion. I hate it with a passion. It's so disgusting. It's just like, what about me? You know, like, talk about me some more. I want to know about me. How do you know who I am and stuff like that? I hate it. I think it's so
No,
gross.
I actually think it's okay if you phrase it better. I think Ash's question to Jeremy was valid.
Ash's
like,
question was correct. Yeah, Ash's
well, yeah, it's all
Ash's
about
question
me.
was correct. Yes.
But if you're talking about social game, like obviously that's how you show it. But with
Yeah.
Dom's question, I feel like it was just so salty. It doesn't make sense. It's like, would you have cut me in my, at the final? Like, oh yeah, maybe. Like, who knows? Like, maybe if you're a goat, I will not vote you out. It just so depends.
I don't know. The way I look at the jury, right? You look at a jury in a courtroom, right?
We can't. I don't want to compare that, Josh. It's not the same. That's just.
But they essentially there to get the story.
Okay. Ben said, I think jury question can be on themselves, be tense on this. I do think it's your question, your moment. Say it, but like has to be nice. I feel like it's not like it doesn't. Yeah, it has to be relevant. I guess I don't know. Ben also said, like, for Juniors, people went out and put votes. It makes sense to bring yourself a relevant final tree and how they got that. Yeah, that's fine, but
I don't know. I hate Dom's question with a passion.
I think I was saying he was a goat, so voting out would have been the wrong move. Dom thinking he's a goat. I don't think so.
No, Dom's question to me was like, not it.
What is question to Charlene again? I forgot. Can't remember.
I actually I can't remember it word for word, but all I know is about him.
Yeah, it was like, but you only met. Did you just met her like on the merch anyway?
He only just met her. He only just met her. He was so salty that he got voted out over her in that situation. And that's what his question was. He's like, essentially, I'm salty that Charlene's still in the game and I'm not, and I could have been in that spot at the final three, so I'm gonna attack her.
What's Essence? Explain why you should have married without the letter E. Is it what she?
Yeah, that's a question. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, I think he said like explain why you should. Oh, yeah. And then I think
that's
right. Like, yeah, she said you should. Yeah.
No, but like it completely throws her off the question.
Yeah, it
makes
does.
Makes her feel uncomfortable moving forward throughout the whole thing. And like,
yeah.
I don't think you should attack people, right, with that question. Personally,
no, especially if you have history, that's fine. If you want to give a bitter speech.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's fine. If Ben give a bitter speech to Charlene, fine. Like, it's fine. But like you only met Charlene for a few hours, and if you throw that question out, it's a bit like I feel like it's a bit But...
I don't think that question's valid. Like it should be like a question like I know we haven't played long in the game together.
Explain to what you did.
But please explain to me because my vote is up in the air. I'm looking forward to voting for you potentially. What have you done in this game compared to the other two boys that is worthy of my vote? Like it's a very generic, basic question, but you shouldn't be asking people questions like that you don't know them. Like you don't know Charlene. Like he doesn't know Charlene at all.
Yeah, I think it's basically expecting the same answer, but in a nicer way, I guess. But I mean, yeah. But anyway,
it just came off as ego. Anyway,
okay. So at least Charlene and tired, and then she explained it. She thinks Ben will respect her move, and that's valid. She obviously know Ben enough that she thinks there's a risk versus reward. She thinks the risk is worth it. And then we're going to final three, and then we learned the first jury speech. I think we don't have to repeat that. Anything interesting jury speech from this bunch? Do you think?
Look, I watched it like half drunk and in a loud room. I have not had a chance to rewatch it. So as far as I remember, trying to listen through the crowd that was Canberra, all I remember was Ash's question. And I'm sorry that I haven't rewatched it. I've been super busy after getting back from Canberra. So there was Ash's question, which I think it's okay to ask it like that, because it's asking about social game. I think that's the only way you can sort of like bring yourself into the question. Personally, that's my opinion. Don't attack me, people.
But I also do think Jeremy answered that wasn't that bad. Obviously, Jeremy doesn't know her well enough, and about the Questacon.
No, but he still answered it correctly. Like he still brought up he still brought up a conversation that they've had in the past, right?
Yeah.
And he's the only person that only met Ash that day, where Brad and Charlene met her the day before, right? So she hasn't had as much conversation and time with Jeremy as she had the other two. So I think he answered it to the best of his ability, because really they probably didn't get a chance to talk that day. It was straight into the game. They weren't able to really talk about their lives and who they are as people and what they do as jobs, and But I also think they've like sort of answered their questions as well, like in these 1 or 2 trial games. That's sort of pointless. Like you have like 2 to 3 hours to potentially learn everything about everyone on your starting tribe, and then you don't have a chance to meet the other people at all. So
I think it would be nice to be like, maybe she would say like, Jeremy, I mentioned multiple times to you, like, think of a conversation that you have with that person, and maybe ask questions regarding around that, that area, I guess. Like, if you obviously mention Questacon a lot, then ask like, oh, what do you want to go? But that kind of question. But don't expect like people.
My favorite place to go in Canberra, like like that type of thing, instead of maybe like trying to ask questions that potentially they may have not spoken about.
But it was I like that kind of question, because Jeremy was saying his social skills, so that is a direct question, questioning his social skills. So I think it's valid, and I like it. And then we also heard Kian changes his vote on that, specifically Kian, who said that he changes his vote from Brad to Jeremy. I don't remember what Keegan. I think Keegan asked a quite good question, but I also can't remember.
You don't have an excuse, okay? I wasn't at.
I usually yada the jury speech, to be honest, because I can't keep track of how many people asking questions. Unless you, but to be honest, I don't think Brad did anything wrong. I think Brad did pretty well as well.
Okay.
That
sounds like the right question.
Right. Jeremy brought Brad to final when he was most likely to win. I can't remember what Jeremy said.
He explained why their games here. I think he explained why their games are slightly different.
Yeah, but I still don't buy it though. Maybe I'm just so biased that maybe I want Brad to win, so that's why I just don't think it was.
Well, the edit makes you believe, right?
Yeah.
The edit makes you believe that Brad's going to win the whole season.
Yeah. That's probably why.
So when you get to the end of the game, and like the person you think is going to win doesn't, your brain is just like, I'm not comprehending this.
Yeah.
That's the one downside with having a secret winner.
Yeah, we also don't have all the information. Like I just watch.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all the information we have. We don't know. Brad could have been a real dick behind the camera. In conversations, and we just not got it edited. You know what I mean? So it's like there's things that,
or Jeremy's been super nice, or the secret conversation wasn't being filmed, I guess, and then,
there's things you just don't know. So
okay, and then we have around 10 minutes to 15 minutes. We can talk about this a little bit more in the next tomorrow, when specifically, or you can mention in Charlene's interview. But we just gonna do our final Q, kiss and marry.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Q. Who do you want to Q?
I think it's hard to really kill kiss marry in this episode, because obviously
it is really hard.
But in saying that though, I'm gonna kill Brad.
Because
I feel like he absolutely just lost tribal council. Like he lost the final tribal council, because yes, he went in like with the winning game, right? Congrats, you went in with the winning game, but he wasn't able to sell himself as well as others. So he gets my kill for that. How about you?
Yeah, same. I don't think we can do Mary because we got a winner. So, any
I mean,
move
like
that
the Mary is like guaranteed Jeremy, right?
guaranteed Jeremy? Yeah.
Because like he slays the king in the challenge beasts, and then he talks his way to a win, which he wasn't actually meant to have.
Yeah.
Right. Phenomenal episode for Jeremy, obviously.
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
think the biggest thing, is the kiss would be going to Charlene. I really respect her taking out Ben. I know a lot of people maybe don't or don't think it was that great, but personally, I would possibly nearly even vote her just based on that. Because she took the move, right? She's like, I would rather go to the end with Brad and Jeremy instead of Ben and Jeremy, because she could have forced a 2v2 tie. Yeah.
Kiss, I struggle a little bit. Maybe Brad, because he saved himself he was on the firing line. He's supposed to go that.
No, you just killed him. You just killed him.
Anyway, doesn't really matter. Okay, we quickly wrap up.
You can't kiss dead people. You can't kiss dead people. It's not good. It's not a good look.
Can I? With the well, who stood out to you? If you can only choose one person to represent the season, who would you choose? No. Hang on. I want to change that question. Who's stood out to you? You can give maybe two men, two women who stood out to you the whole season.
Oh, the whole season. As far as personality and stuff goes, and gameplay and everything like that. Going into the pre-merge, I think Rose really did extraordinarily well. With the cards that she was dealt. She was literally dealt the worst hand in poker and was able to bluff her way quite far. I'd also like to say Charlene. Phenomenal social player and a great strategic player that just couldn't sell her game. So I feel like them two are definitely the two women I'd pick. And as far as the men, I would go Brad, because he had a lot of control. He was able to have pretty much control of the whole merge, even though he was down in numbers. And I'd like to see Aston back. His first two episodes were phenomenal. He was able to control everything besides the then Rose flip on Janine. But yeah, I'd like to see him back. I think he is really underappreciated.
Yeah. I think my pick will be, obviously I want to pick something different, so we don't call out the same person over again. I'll pick Charlene, because I think she has a lot of promise. She can deliver next time. Also, I want to pick Janine because just based on the interview with her, she shows so much growth, and I just feel like she would learn, and I want to see how the full Janine experience, what can she give us? And I'm really excited to see her in the future, sort of other multiverse of Survivor. For men, I think Jeremy, because you mentioned Brad, so Jeremy, he won. So I think if I would love to see him come back, but maybe play more up front, more in the front in your face, that kind of game. Obviously we know social skills is more hits, being underdog is more suitable, but it will be funny to see him in a dominant position. I want to see Ben to come back. I want to see him to win challenges against
the challenge beast.
Who
would have thought? Who would have thunk it?
All right, now that we mentioned Ben, he's in the waiting room, waiting for us to welcome him. So Ben, let's welcome Ben coming in. So Ben, you're live.
Hi.
Hey.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stunning.
Is that the necklace?
Yes, this is the immunity necklace. The challenge beast got to keep it in the end because Ashley gave it to me. Thank you, Josh.
That's okay. That's fine.
I was like, how did that from Ash to yours?
I was actually in possession of it longer than Ben was, which was great. I felt like I maybe have one individual immunity. So welcome.
Thank you.
Challenge based, social threat, legend, icon.
Keep going. Boost my ego.
Yeah. I'll insert the Lady Gaga. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, show stopping, never before seen, shit on it, throw it in a blender. That's me.
Yeah, that's Ben to a T for sure. Vince.
Okay, Aston. Well, Aston, take my job because that's the question. Did you vote correctly even once? I think you did.
I think the answer is oh no, I voted once correctly. And that was for Dom.
Dom, yes.
And that's it. My track record is like literally like 1 out of what, like 8 or 9 tribal councils. Like I did amazingly. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I mean, it's a good thing though. That's a good thing though, because you could have went to the end and be
Yeah.
like, "Hey, look, I actually vote any of you guys out. I wanted you all to stay. You know,
didn't piss
I love
anyone
you all
off.
so much." Yeah, you didn't.
I
Yeah,
just kept
exactly.
voting for Jeremy and Brad.
Ben, I have a question. So in
Yes.
that final 5 vote, is it final 5 that ones you voted for Brad? Yes. Why do you say you want to keep Brad in that tribal? Did you do you intend to keep him to final tribal? Like is that final 3? Is that you, him, and someone else?
That was final 5 isn't like I voted
Hopper?
Jeremy.
No, you voted for Brad. Hopper and Brad. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. Okay, sorry. My memory of the whole thing is like hazy. I mean, I think I probably felt like I was fine with like Brad staying. Wait, hang on. Are you talking about final 6 when Ashley went? Is that what you're talking about?
Is it Ash or Hopper? Who do you?
I can't.
I
didn't.
Sorry.
I genuinely cannot remember.
Okay,
like at final 6 when
Brad.
Ashley went, when it was like it was like a 3-2-1. I voted for Jeremy instead of Brad to tie it up because I was like, for me, I was fine with Ashley going because she was a strong player.
Mm-hmm.
I like didn't think that she would take me to the end. Like that was whatever. And then at final 5, I think it was I think I still wanted Brad to go at final 5. But I also like wasn't certain that the votes were going to go my way because Brendan had been like flipping earlier, and I had also kind of seen how close Charlene was getting with the boys. I still voted for Brad and I still would have liked Brad to go, but I also knew it wasn't the worst thing in the world if Brad didn't go because I would still have, at the time I was like, oh, I have Charlene. Like I would still have somebody in the final 4 who would like have my back. And like realistically, I would take it to a fire. Realistically, it would go to a fire making challenge between like Brad and I felt pretty confident in my ability to beat Brad in fire making. Obviously never got that opportunity to, but I still felt like I could have if that was the possibility. So regardless of how the final 5 vote went, for me it was like as long as it wasn't Charlene, I was going to be pretty okay with that.
Ben, I have a follow-up question. Do you know what the final 4 challenge is? Have you asked?
Wait, what?
The tiebreaker. Fire making.
Oh.
What is the fire making challenge?
Oh my god, I can't even. I feel like I asked like on the day or something, but I can't remember if Dan told me or not. Okay. Regardless of what it was, I imagine it'd be some kind of like a puzzle thing.
Yeah.
And because Keegan wasn't there, I felt pretty good with my chances. So
knowing Dan, it would be a puzzle. He loves his puzzles.
He does.
Oh yeah, Charlene said puzzle. Ben, I also have a follow-up question. This is regarding theory. If Charlene voted with you, so 2-2 tied, and you lost a puzzle, let's just say, would you go in and voting for Charlene, or are you still what
I think I would probably be much more likely to vote Charlene if it did go to a 2-2. And say that. Like I say that now with like I can look back on the season, reflect. Like I wish I did. I love Brad, but I wish I did vote for Charlene in the moment. But I think it was like a hard pill to swallow when you're the final juror and the person that you've been working with the entire time is like, oh, okay, you're not coming with me. When like you've been gassing them up in your confessionals. So I think it was like I've just had like my number one turn their back on me. This kind of hurts. And so I needed like the moment to kind of like reflect, take it in. And I didn't have enough time because obviously it's like a 1 day thing. So you don't have the time to like sit through and process this. Whereas at least on Survivor, the final jury gets like a day. Like they get time to like process it all. And I didn't have that. And upon reflection, I should have voted for Charlene. But I think had it gone to fire making, I probably would have felt a little bit better about our game and like how we played together. And I probably would have been much more likely to vote for her. And I still do think she spoke like relatively well at Final Tribal Council. So she probably would have gotten my vote had it gone to a 2-2. But yeah, again, who's to say?
Yeah.
Do you find it weird that like obviously Charlene like did a vote with you for the last 2 rounds, and she was clearly working with the 3 that you could, well, the 2 boys anyway.
Like yes and no, because I could always still tell like where Charlene's head was at. Like the voting me out was still something that like took me by surprise. But in terms of like, I knew that she was like getting close with Jeremy. I knew like after the whole like Alex vote, Alex leaving round, I was like, they're gonna have a good relationship. They're probably gonna work together. It's their own game. They have their own agenda. Like go do your thing. Because I'm also not somebody who's going to like stand in the way and be like, you have to do what I'm doing or like you're out kind of thing. I'm like, as long as it's like good for your game and it's not completely impacting my game, go for it because that's how the game should be played. And so like I voted in the minority every single vote except for Dom. And like I was pretty conscious of that by the time that like Alex had left, that I wasn't voting correctly. And when Charlene was voting correctly, I was just like, okay, well, it's still not impacting my game. I'm still fine with the people that are going home. I would rather it be other people, but I get it and I can understand it. And I can get how it's better for her game than it probably is for my game. And at the end of the day, you're playing for yourself. So
Ben, I have a follow-up. So I think from what I get that you don't know Charlene blindsided you. Is that final?
As in at Final Four? So
yeah.
I had no idea going into it that I was going in a 3-1.
Okay.
There was the moment that I realized, which was unintentional. It like wasn't on the episode because I don't even think it was recorded. But there was like a joke that was made just before Dan and Liv were coming back with the votes, and Charlene like reacted to it in a certain way, and it wasn't even how she intentioned like it to come across. But she said something, and in my head I went, "Hang on a second, that's not what I was expecting." And I had this moment just before like they came back with the votes and like we're going to read the votes, where I was like, I don't think I'm surviving this. Like I'm pretty sure I'm going in a 3-1, but it was like at Tribal Council like 10 seconds before. So yeah.
With Charlene, like obviously she played a massive part in your game, clearly. Do you think obviously like when she did portray you, did you feel like she maybe like should have said to you beforehand that she look she doesn't want you in the final Tribal Council because essentially she will have like the whole story, and then maybe could have corralled you to be like a cheerleader for Charlene, you know?
I definitely think that's a possibility. I think, I mean, also it probably wasn't like, it was probably a smart idea that she didn't, because I'm not going to lie as well. Like if she had told me that, I probably would have run to Brad and Jeremy. Like I probably would have gone and tried to like make something happen. If I knew that I was going home in a 3-1, I'm like, okay, well, time to switch on, try get something going, try make like a 2-1-1 or something. Like, so it's probably a good thing that she didn't. Whether that was successful or not, it probably wouldn't have been. I probably was like doomed from the moment I didn't win final immunity. But I probably would have had a little bit more time to kind of go and make a move or try and like force something else so I wasn't completely screwed, as opposed to just like doing it. But in saying that, if she had told me, it would have probably gained a little bit more respect in that moment, to where I probably end up on the jury as like a cheerleader more so than I was. So
you were Sorry,
Yeah,
you were the most killed on this podcast, so we killed you the most.
Is it?
It's a great honor. It's a great honor to have.
I'll take
We
it.
killed you
I'll
multiple
take
times
it.
in earlier episodes. So when you like vote for Keegan earlier on, in like the first couple of episodes, what was your thought process behind that? Because essentially, like the editing, like how we saw it was, he just threw out all of his strategy on the table and let everybody see in his wallet, essentially. So, can you elaborate why you did that?
I'm still not convinced on the explanation. But
No, because the explanation was bullshit, babes. I had to come up with something on the spot because what had happened was we went to tribal and I go in and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way that like I'm voting a woman in this moment because we've already lost 2. And I'm like, I'm not like, I don't want to be a part of this like a woman slaughter because we all know we're like women haters of the season. Joke intended. But going into, I was like, also like it could just be spicy to throw my vote. Like I love causing a little bit of chaos when I can, and like even if that's just in one foreign vote, I'm like, cool, great. It just forms enough cracks that you can then maybe work out who you can work with more and who you can't work with more. And obviously it kind of did that. But the issue was after tribal council, we get back to like our camp and everyone's talking about it and everyone is talking about like the specific things that they put on their voting parchment. And everyone's like, I put like a love heart in the top right corner, or I put like a smiley face at like the end of the name. And everyone was being so specific and I couldn't remember what any of the fucking voting parchments looked like. So I just had to own up to it in that moment and be like, okay, like I guess it was me. I was gonna lie about it. The plan from like the moment that I like crossed out like Lara's name was like lie. But everyone was so fucking like descriptive of their votes that I was like, I'm just gonna have to own up to it and change how like I'm playing here. So that description of like, it gives us more like Stead going into a swap, complete bullshit. That was like top of the head, like I need to cover my ass. That's what it was.
But why do you have to cross out Laura and write Keegan? Why don't you just write Keegan's name? Like, that's one part I don't understand.
Like for the dramatics of it all, like. Okay. It's more interesting if you see like someone was on board with the plan and then they changed their vote last minute. Like that's more interesting for the tribe because they're like, wait, hang on a second, someone was thinking about this differently. And again, if I didn't have to fucking tell the truth about it, it would have been much more interesting. Like it would have been a much like different dynamic, and I think the tribe would have been a bit more sort of cracked than it was going forward. But again, I was caught out in this lie because everyone was so like detailed. So.
Yeah, but why do people need to do like drawing like flowers and shit? Like, stop.
Just write a name. Just write the name down and then move on. Like that's how I view. The only time I think it's acceptable is at like a final vote or a final tribal council. Do something fun. But like, not when it's like the first vote of the season. Like, calm down and then don't talk about it at like camp. That's what ruined it.
I also think like the whole like drawing the line underneath the name and saying I'm going to put a line underneath the name and stuff like that. I actually don't like it because it sort of like gets rid of the seed of doubt, essentially. So like, it builds trust, but like I don't like seeing trust built on a vote like that. Like, I don't like it.
I don't know. I mean, we can't limit what people write on the parchment, basically. Exactly. But like, just the whole bring of like, oh, I did this. Like, I did the smiley face. I did this frowny face. As you know, that's from me. I mean, that's fine. But if you told, I mean, it's just like everyone's so open with it. Like, oh, I do this thing. I do that. But how can people all like? Do they all draw something different on their parchment?
It was just like everybody just did like something on it and they were able to like remember it exactly, and I was like, I'm fucked, like because I'm also kind of like camp like don't talk about what you're going to put on a voting parchment because I think it ruins the like anonymity of like voting for people. Like the whole point is you're not supposed to know who voted for who, so why the fuck would you give a signifier for who you voted for?
Oh, Charlene said the flowers were because you all had the flower in her hair, which is meant to represent unity in control of the team, which worked well in challenges. Clearly, you don't know that. Otherwise,
clearly, I must have been like in a confessional when they decided on that because I don't remember that. I remember the flowers in her hair, but that was about it.
Ben, I have a
Ben was screw unity, screw unity. We don't need it.
Correct.
But I have a follow-up, another kill sort of question. We did sort of saying that you should have taken more control when you winning all these challenges. We only saw one part that you did on the with the Charlene, Alex, and Jeremy, which you took charge. Like obviously, there's 3 people you vote for.
Yeah.
But the rest, you kind of like, it doesn't. You kind of like mention like, I don't really care. This person go, that person go. Do you think if you can go back again, would you try to be more assertive and like did more like, I want this person go on this tribal?
100%. I think to be fair, I think you can probably ask that to like most people who played the season, that they would go back and want to be more assertive than they were the first time around. But I think the thing for me, and like obviously like it's hard to capture it in like a 45-minute episode kind of thing, but like I was having those conversations where I was like, this person has to go home. Like I want this person to go home. I was trying to put my foot down, but like credit to Brad and Jeremy, they had enough of like a social hold on the tribe that they were able to kind of move the votes around to benefit them. And like, I mean, it's why they both got to the end. Like they were able to like move these people around and get like Brendan to flip when it was necessary, and then take Brendan out because then he becomes too much of a liability, and then like take me out at the end because of me like winning immunities. Like it was very much like after the Alex vote, I was like, cool, I have something that I can do now. And then I tried to do it, but it just wasn't able to like go anywhere because they did have so much control, which is also why I was pushing so hard against them, because I did want them to go, but I just never felt like I had the people to back it up. And then I was like, okay, my final saving grace is fire making it final 4. So
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Charlene did say you were there.
Love you, Charlene.
And Brandon Hopper said, you guys coming back to talk about food, but Queen Colleen was like, no, we ain't talking about food. Let's talk about votes.
Yeah, I was like, why do we have to talk about the votes? But yeah, well, and obviously
it's interesting. It was interesting.
Yeah. And it was like, it was definitely a lot spicier as well once like we got to like the swap and like it was like a 2-2-2 with my name in it. That to me was like terrifying shit. Like seeing my name come up, I was like, Keegan had so much control here. And like that's where like me having to own up to my lie really did come to bite me in the ass. But it was still like I enjoyed that. Seeing my name come up, I was like, ooh, like this is really getting like my blood pumping. Like, but I knew I also had people who like had my back. I didn't like, truth be told, I did not want Keegan to go when we did like the little split between the 2 groups of 4. I didn't want Keegan to go, but I had no control of what was going on over there because I basically just knew Keegan was dead in the water. Which is why I wanted to take control when I had the necklace to either force a tie or like get Jeremy out, which or we saw how that happened, but like I used it because I was like, okay, I'm losing someone I want to work with, so I need to make sure that I get rid of somebody who is probably not going to work with me moving forward.
Regarding that vote again with the Alex quitting, quitting essentially. Have you thought about approaching Alex and convince her to take out Jeremy?
Yeah, it's so because there's only 4 of you, like, and we basically we didn't really speak to the other 4. Like there was like a little like chitter chatter of like, oh, this is like maybe where I'm voting, but it was never like extensive conversations. Whereas we were basically just doing like a musical chairs kind of thing where like 2 of us would talk and then 2 would swap out. And then we'd go and have like the third lot of conversations because there's only 3 different combinations of pairs that can talk. So like, I think the first conversation I had was actually with Alex because I think I remember being with Alex when like the whole idol situation was going on when like Keegan pushed Brad. And I remember like having a conversation with her being like, I really don't want to vote for Charlene and I'm not going to vote for you. My vote is going on Jeremy. And like, I'm making that clear now that that's what I'm doing. And it's very realistic to what Charlene is doing. So like there was an attempt, but again, because there's so much happening in that episode, they obviously can't show everything. And so they show like the important conversations that are like the story builders. But we all had these conversations between the 4 of us in our little pairs and we tried. But at that point, like Alex, I think was pretty set on like going home because she couldn't get the votes off of Jeremy. And there was nothing I could do to change that. But there was that conversation had.
obviously, like Alex's departure, like changes the game completely. Like we would have lost Jeremy at that stage. Do you think, like looking back, like there's not much you could do really in that situation? Like you did as much as you could. I think looking back to like maybe this like the merge when you played your idol, and like why did you do that? Because I was very confused when you played it, because like your name was not out there at all, or was it just like I don't want to be merge boot?
Well, it was a combination of two things. My name was out there at I was like the first or second name thrown out from memory, but again, it didn't take any traction. But I had heard it from two separate people. So for me, I'm like in my head, I'm like paranoid, freaking out, like oh shit, like my name is out there, and like no one knew that I had the idol except for Charlene when I told her like 2 or 3 minutes before Tribal Council started. But like no one knew I had it, and Charlene like kind of helped convince me, like just play it, like just do it, play it. And then there was also the combination of I didn't want to be merge boot. No one wants to be merge boot. Like it's not a bad thing to be merge boot, but like you want to get past at least that first one to like guarantee you're on the jury and to make sure that you have like some kind of like you have more playing time. Everyone wants to get to the end, but I played it there. Do I wish that I had held on to it? Fuck yes, I did. Because if I did, I would have played it at the next tribal for Charlene, and Jeremy actually would have gone. And that's probably like the biggest thing that I wish that I did differently in the game, because had I had done that, Jeremy would have gone. Like realistically, like Charlene and Alex are working close together, and I felt good with both of them at the time. Like I probably have a little bit more of like a push going forward. Keegan goes home, so realistically, it's like myself and Brad as like the big like immunity threats, and I beat Brad in the end. So like I probably could have steamrolled in terms of immunity challenges to the end, but I still think Brad would have had some good social bonds. I think Brad and Ashley stick stronger together than they were probably expecting to if Jeremy goes. Like I think it genuinely changes the game quite a lot, but I think I have a possibility of making it to the end had I kept my idol.
Yeah. Do you have any other questions for Ben, Vince?
Is there any? Well, obviously your usual question, pick two.
Yeah.
Is your thing.
Yeah. So we've been asking everybody in the jury, 2 people they want to see back, and like 2 males, 2 females they want to see back, for potential seasons in the future, whatever their name, All Stars, Second Chances, Backyard versus Melbourne versus Canberra, I don't know, whatever. Who would you want to see come back?
I honest to God, I think my number one is Rose. Like I know, like you guys mentioned it before, but I think Rose was just like done so hard by in the swap. Like had Rose been on the other tribe, she probably would have been fine. She probably would have been able to scrape her way through. But like myself and Keegan and like Brendan and Charlene all being quite close, and also being able to pick up on the fact that she was very like strategically savvy. We were all like, we cannot let this get further. And so she was robbed. Like she was genuinely robbed, and I would love to see her come back because she would fucking slay the competition, especially at a merge. Like I'd like if I ever play with her again, I'm absolutely shitting bricks. Like in terms of another woman, I would probably say Ashley, just because I think Ashley was so like opposite to what every other woman in our season was. Like Ashley was like very happy to play the villain and like be this like cutthroat, like I'm playing with shields. Like she was very open about her gameplay and like confessionals and like postseason, like talking to her about it. It's really interesting to hear like how she thought about it on the day, and just knowing like how she thinks about it. With like our cast, it would be really interesting to see how she would do thinking that way on like an All Stars or a fans versus favorites or Second Chances or Melbourne versus Backyard versus Canberra. In terms of the guys, I mean, I'm not gonna say myself, but I actually don't think I would say myself. I do think there's like other males who have more opportunity to like do better and be better. I would say, like realistically, the first one, I would actually really like it if like Keegan got another chance in Survivor Canberra. I think like
you want to
love
see
the guy. I do want to see more Keegan. I may have voted for him once, but I want to see more. I actually think Keegan has a lot more to give in terms of like strategy, and I think he always kind of gets pit as like this like comp beast. He's gonna like smash things. You can't let him get far. But I think like in Survivor Canberra has proven he could be beaten in immunity challenges. Like he's not always gonna win. And so I'd like to see a bit more of Keegan's like strategic prowess moving forward, and also his social game, because I do think he had a relatively decent one, but it gets overshadowed by like comp strength.
Yeah.
And then in terms of second guy, I would probably say Brad, just because I always have like a little heart for like the runners up who like just miss out on winning. I'm like, yes, like get your redemption, get your second chance. But also I do think like Brad did play a really, really good game. I mean, Touchy Subjects obviously revealed a lot about his game. And he was still able to get to the end with like that perception on him. So it shows that he's like able to like make these moves and push people in directions to get him like votes off of him. Like it was really impressive. And I think that's something that was like kind of underrated of Brad's game, that like had he maybe touched on a little bit more, like would have been probably better for him. But so I'd say Rose, I would say Ashley, I would say Keegan, and then Brad. That's my four.
Ben, you voted for Brad in the last tribal, did you?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
In your perception, why do you think Jeremy got able to sway at least one or two jurors to vote for?
I think out of everybody, Jeremy did have the best social game on especially at the end. But I do think Jeremy just had this incredible social game where he was like pulled himself away from being like the first vote of the season. He was able to he had Alex, who literally like willingly died on the sword for him. And then you have Charlene, who was like the person at the end who ultimately decided where, and she went with the person she had the closest social bond with. And I do think Jeremy played the social game the best. And so I never discredit the win, because he definitely deserved it. Like, would I vote for him like now still? No, I would still probably vote for Brad, because I still think Brad is a deserving winner. But I think Jeremy's social game does go over a lot of what Brad was able to do, what Charlene was able to do. So I fully understand why he won, and he is a very deserving winner. So
awesome. Do we have any other questions for Ben before?
I do have one. Can you tell us the moment that stick out to you the most? Like fun, it could be fun, or it could be like game wise, or something we don't know. Something we haven't seen on the edit.
Oh my god. I remember there was one conversation. This isn't this is just like first thing that I thought of when you said this was like, I remember at the merge there was one conversation, because the two people that like I kind of knew or like knew of like when I saw the entire cast was like Brad, because we have like played an org, not together, but we were in he was season 1, I was season 2. We got the same placement, so like we knew of each other, like placement club, and Dom, because I've had seen Dom in person before, but it had been like a couple of years. And for me, we had like this conversation where the three of us walked off. It was like towards where the idol that I never, the second idol that I never found was hidden. And it was because I was like, I need to take Dom away so people can have the discussions to talk about Dom. And we go away, and they're just like, yeah, I think it was let's vote out Brendan or something. And we were all talking, and I just remember in my head going, this conversation is not a conversation I wanted to have, but I'm sacrificing my time to make sure that Dom can go home. Love Dom, but I was like, this needs to happen. I need to make sure he's away from these people. Which actually does bring me to one thing that didn't make the edit that I really wish did. And it might have just been because it wasn't in the footage, but at the challenge where Charlene and Alex won individual immunity, the hoop thing, Dom tells me as we're packing up the challenge and we're about to split off into tribes, he goes, just letting you know, Alex needed to win that because she was going home next. And I'm like, why would you tell me that? Why would you tell me this information? Because you should know that I'm going to run with this and bury you with it. And that's why like I immediately took it to my tribe, and I was just like, just letting you guys know, this is what Dom said. Like another woman was going to go home. It was going to be Alex. He was like ready to throw her under the bus. And I think that's also what kind of started like the Dom merge boot train, was me being like, Dom's chaotic. He told me this, and we had no proper bond. I didn't tell people that like I knew of Dom before this. So they were like, wow, that's really weird that he would like give information like that so willingly. And I'm like, yeah, isn't it? But it never made the edit, which I was like quite sad about. But it was a fun situation because I was like, yes.
Sorry, Ben, can I follow up? How did you meet Dom? Yes. Like is that a social event? Sorry, I was just.
So it was actually because Charlene was also at this event. There was like a viewing party for, I think it was Champions versus Contenders 1.
Oh, okay.
And like I have like the photo somewhere on my phone. It's probably on Facebook as well. But it was like Dom, myself, Charlene, like Charlene's partner Simon, Connor from like Australian Survivor, like Connor Bethune. Like Peter was also there from Australian Survivor, but he left before the photo was taken. There was like a whole bunch of us who were like at this place, and we like took a couple photos together, and like we like drank, watched the finale, and so I remember Dom more specifically because Dom is very much like a character who stands out in like everyday life. So I remembered him. So when like I rock up and I'm like, okay, I've seen you before. I've had like a night out with you, and then I was like, Brad, I know Brad. So
yeah. Was it on Reddit? Is it the Reddit that organized that?
I actually can't remember who organized that.
Because I think Reddit used to do that.
It might have been Reddit. I honestly cannot remember. I just remember like I think someone sent a message to me, like one of my friends, and was like, "Hey, you like Survivor? Are you gonna go to this?" And I was like, "Yeah, fuck not. Oh, fuck, why not?" Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Matt has a question. What was your placement in that org?
18th place out of 24. I would just like to say Brad did also get it. So we will play somebody. It's actually on my voting parchment when I voted for Brad to win. I put in brackets like 18th place buddy, but you couldn't see it because Dan's like finger was over it. But yeah, 18th place. So it's, fourth place is a big step up from that.
Ma has a question. She wants to know, how wild was that night, really?
Well, I mean, which night?
I'm assuming that Champions versus Contenders.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming
it was really not that wild. I think like it was pretty tame because we all like kind of didn't really know each other. Like I wish it was like Canberra Survivor season 1 finale night where I blacked out from like 1 o'clock onwards. But like it was like in bed by like 11 kind of a night.
Oh. That sounds boring.
Yeah, correct.
All right. Do we have Dan waiting in the waiting room, Vince?
No.
No.
We have
okay.
Cute.
We have a little bit.
I can keep talking.
We have Liv.
Liv is waiting. Okay.
Yeah. I just sent. Oh. Okay. Ma has a question. When are we going on a date?
Oh my God, Ma. Well, I mean, we were supposed to go on a date whilst you were here, but then my family showed up, so we couldn't go on our date. So hopefully when I'm in Melbourne in June or July, we can go on our cute little date and
cute.
Live our best life.
If you can come to a viewing party. Great.
Yeah. Oh, actually, yeah, that could be really, really fun. I do actually plan on being in Melbourne like June or July, like in like the uni break. And I do want to like see people and meet up with people, so that'll be quite fun. And then we can
meet up with the season 3 cast of Melbourne Survivor.
Hey.
Yeah.
If we get it on July.
Oh yeah, it'll be up by July. I hope.
Yeah. Manifest, Josh.
Yeah, I manifest for sure.
Yeah, I think and then we have a lot of support for Ben.
I'm sorry, Charlene, she's coming on to me. Oh.
All right. I think Liv and Dan is here. Thanks, Ben. We'll hope to see you soon. If you're interested, we can do a recap with Backout Survivor whenever you're free if you want to.
Cute. Yeah. Cool. Sounds awesome. Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Enjoy talking to Dan and Liv.
Bye.
We will. Bye.
All right, let's welcome our host, the creator. We have Dan, and then we have Liv.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Liv,
how are you?
Liv,
Good,
you're
Been
on
drinking, be careful. You're on mute.
Liv,
Liv
you're
is on mute.
Classic.
Come on. We practiced this, Liv. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
I'm just killing my coronavirus with some hard liquor.
It's the only way to do it.
Yeah.
So welcome.
That's real commitment.
Congratulations.
Joining when you have coronavirus.
Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for letting us be your podcast team for this season.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of it.
Yeah, I think we went through a whole journey together.
A little bit.
It was a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's journey.
Yeah.
As soon as Liv, as is gonna be coming for our gig, are we gonna see a Jeremy cameo?
Are we going to see any Jeremy cameos? I'm not sure. How do you feel, Jess? He's getting his game on.
How are we?
Hi. How you going?
Doing well. How's everything?
Good.
I honestly don't think that's Jeremy anymore because he doesn't have long hair, so I feel like it's not the same person. And it's like, it still bothers me to this day.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be shocked tomorrow, Vince, when you see Brandon.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Weird. Takes a while to get used to.
Yeah, they may have changed hairstyles. So I guess like the questions is like, did everything run how you expected it? Obviously it's your first time running a season.
No, I think we're rushing into it. Let's just Dan and Liv, like what's inspired you to do this to begin with?
Yeah.
Well,
Dan,
I think the thing that started it was it really was when coronavirus started in 2020. I think it was March 2020 that the idea sort of came into my head. Like I was watching Andrew on Backyard Survivor. I don't know if it was that time. I don't know if I'm getting my timelines right, but it was around then. And I sort of just said to him, like, why couldn't we just do one in Canberra? Like it could be fun. And then I that was kind of like a semi-serious, like, I don't know if it's actually doable. And then the more people I talked to, like the more people were like excited about it. Like I talked to Liv and she wanted to be a part of it. So I was like, why don't you just host with me? Like you've got great presence on film, like you've got a great clear voice. That's what I always said. And yeah, it kind of just snowballed from there, didn't it, Liv? Like we just sort of were like, okay, I guess this is happening. And we put applications out there. We got we probably didn't think anyone was going to apply, did we? But like we got applications and we got enough women and we got enough men and we got great people applying. Yeah, and then it was like, okay, I'll talk to people who know what they're doing. I talked to Liz a little bit about it, and she gave great advice. And then yeah, just went from there, I guess.
I think I definitely like I've said this to you before, Dan, but for you guys, I wouldn't have said this to you. But I feel like, you know, I'm so lucky. I feel so privileged and so lucky because I feel like an imposter, like I'm a phony and I shouldn't be here because really it's like I had no idea. I mean, I became a fan of Survivor literally because of Dan, because when I first met Jeremy,
I forced all my friends to watch Survivor, basically.
well, it was really subtle as well, like super, super subtle. When I first, Matt Chang, I can answer that question. It's going to come.
Okay, we're going to go into the deep history of how we know each other.
When I first met Jeremy, when I first started dating Jeremy, he was living with Dan, and I used to, we used to go over, like I used to go to their house. And Dan would just be sitting there watching reruns of all the Survivor. It was just constantly on. I think you had like a little disc drive, or like you had a little. What did you have? Like a.
Yeah, like I had like a little thumb drive, and it was like the only thing that was on the thumb drive was like all of the seasons of Survivor, like nothing else on the thumb drive whatsoever.
And so we just you just used to sit there watching it, and then.
You're pretty cool. clearly.
Well, it was like, it was pretty interesting. And we would be like, oh, this is cool. And then when lockdown started in 2020, and Jeremy set ourselves this task, and we watched every single, like, we started at Survivor season 1 and we watched all 40 seasons in 2020. And it was just like this epic sort of, I don't know, just this epic thing that happened, and it just became so much a part of my life. And then at that time, Dan was like, do you want to host the game with me? Because me and Jeremy were becoming so kind of invested in Survivor. And I said to Dan I would never play because I just think I would be the worst player. And so when he said, do you want to host? I was like, well, that might be, a pretty good way to go. So when I think that's why I just feel like such a phony, because I had no idea kind of what we were getting ourselves into, if that makes sense. And Dan is definitely like, I cannot stress enough how much I cannot take any credit for anything. Like, Dan does.
No, but she does this all the time. She always downplays her role, like, literally. And I think, Josh, you will agree with me, like, being there on season 2 filming, how much Liv does and how much she always plays herself down. She's such a calming presence on a season to all the players and to all the crew. And she shouldn't.
But behind the scenes and the inception of the whole thing, behind the scenes, all the challenges, all the scripting, like, that is all you. And I cannot take any credit for that. But I have to say, like, it's a phenomenal thing to be a part of. And so I guess I can't remember what your initial question was, but
how do we get started on it? How do we get started on it? I think
I guess that's kind of how it started. And I'm just so...
You answered Matt's question as well.
So humbled to be a part of so many amazing... Well, our amazing group, but then the extended group is just, it's amazing. And I can't believe I'm in this position. It feels really odd.
So we actually haven't seen either of you two play a live game yet. Have you?
I've seen Dan play. What did you play, Dan?
Well, I mean, I played online games, but I've never played a live game before.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Would you give it a go?
I think Liv would be an amazing player. I think she's very empathetic.
Yes.
And I think she's very likable. Agree. Yeah. And I think she would be so much better than she thinks she's going to be. I think I would be a hot mess, but I think Liv would be amazing.
I would never do it. I'm far too paranoid. There's no way.
Right.
Nothing wrong with being a hot mess. Nothing wrong with being a hot mess either.
If you want to come down to Melbourne, you can do the one-day thing. I mean, it's just one day. Like, if you went home early, you can party in Melbourne.
That's true. I have a bit of family in Melbourne, so that'd be all right.
Can we do a trial game where Liv and I are the captains and we play against each other?
No,
so me tormenting the whole time.
I do have a question. Sorry, Josh. I know because me and Josh were building season 3 as well. We, found out like maybe there's like I'm more old school and Josh more new school. Do you guys have like sort of clash on the ideas in this in creation of season 1, or you guys basically more agree the direction you're going to?
I think like we sort of had agreed that we wanted to start out a bit slow. Like we didn't want to like incorporate these crazy twists into season 1 because we thought, we didn't really know what we were doing. And like, I didn't know what I was doing either, to be honest. Like I've never produced a, YouTube product before. So like our theory was more, we'll start out slow. We'll have idols. We'll have some basic advantages, but we will sort of ease our way into it, I guess.
I think as well, I mean, people have their different opinions on what makes a better game. And I think the Australian Survivor definitely brings out that, all the twists and twists galore. And it's like just a twist after a twist after a twist after a twist. And you're like, oh my God, like when's it going to end? Some people love it and some people hate it, or some people are indifferent. I think me personally, having watched like quite recently from the beginning, I actually quite enjoy the really kind of purer Survivor. I actually quite enjoy just watching people fumble their way through it and the kind of game creating itself versus like it being overproduced. So not that I don't like the production stuff, but I don't know. I prefer that sort of more pure, what you see in the earlier seasons of American Survivor. So I don't know if that's going to become a problem for us, Dan, but we'll see.
I think like looking at season 1, like the more memorable moments going forward will be the character-driven moments. So it'll be, Alex, misplaying an idol, or Alex ripping the Dom, or Dom taking off his shirt, or Charlene's blindside on Ben. Like it's those character-driven moments built on relationships that are built
or
throughout.
Keegan just monstering Brad
Keegan pushing over Brad because
I was like, oh my God, we don't have any reception. If we have to take someone to hospital, we are in trouble.
Our first aid is Liv because she's a nurse, so that's all we have. Please don't die.
Oh man, that was bad. Sorry, Keegan, if you're watching, I absolutely love you, but that really
Brad, you're getting pushed.
Brad took it like a fucking champ as well. Oh.
I know, he did. We're like, is he going to sue? Oh no, he's okay.
I was like, Dan, where are the contracts?
Yeah. I think we were standing there as well, like we were watching. We were like watching it happen because we weren't prepared for them to come up to the water. So we were standing there. You can probably see in the footage. And we're like, what are they doing here? And then we're standing there and we watch Keegan push Brad. And we're like, we should probably...
Hang on. It wasn't even a push. It was like they literally were running as fast as they could. And Keegan just absolutely monstered Brad out of the way. It was so... Oh my God.
I think Keegan will call it a nudge, but I think it was more of a shoulder tackle of
shoulder charge.
It was a push. I saw it. It was like,
yeah, that was push. There was more than a nudge, Keegan.
Yeah, he meant for that to happen for sure. Sorry. Vince, what was your question?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask a question.
No,
I think we answered your question though, didn't we?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay. So obviously going into the season, you didn't have much crew, obviously, for season 1. Do you want to break down how that worked out for you and stuff like that?
Yeah, and can I say something about that? Because it's like the stories about the crew it's like that story that someone tells, and it's like, I got a job at 10, and the next time they tell it, they got a job at 7. Like the story gets like more sensational every time people tell it. Like I think we had a crew of about 12, and then someone will tell the story and there was a crew of 7, and then someone else will tell the story and there was like a crew of 4. So I just want to set the record straight. There was about a crew of 12 and we had people coming and going. So if like people tell you there was less, they're exaggerating the story.
It was also a bit of like, I feel like it was a bit of okay, the tribe has spoken, so get a camera and like go.
Yeah, like Emily like got onto crew and was totally amazing. Like she crewed the rest of the season. Aston crewed the rest of the season. Yeah, like we were lucky that they were happy to help out, I guess.
It definitely didn't feel, although I have to say, the only difference I think that I really noticed was that between, like in season 1, Dan, we were like between each tribal and each challenge, we were setting up the challenge like ourselves, like, and doing that.
We were multitasking a lot more.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I noticed that didn't happen when we filmed season 2. But I have to say, I don't really remember there was always so many people around. Like I don't remember it being like scant of people to help and to do things. I don't know. Maybe
we definitely had a lot more people on season 2. Like we had a lot more people on
season 2. Definitely.
I think that'll show. But I think like the crew that we had were just like so hardworking, like so amazing. Yeah. Like they barely took breaks. Like, all like so much respect to all of them because they were so committed and they were there anytime that we needed them. So, can't fault that at all. Yeah,
I think you're probably right in the sense that you'll get heaps more footage. Like it's the conversations that weren't picked up in season 1 that you just, because there was just not the people to actually film them. Whereas in season 2, hopefully maybe that will be a bit different. I don't know. We'll see.
I have a question. I want to get into like, sorry to be in downer. Like, what is the hardest thing you encounter during production on the day and post production? What do you think the hardest thing it is to you?
Well, I don't know if you want to answer that first, Liv, but like I think the obvious one is the weather, because as you saw, the weather, yeah.
No, the weather. Like I was ready for the weather because like it was pretty fucking bad the first time. So I mean, it was it probably couldn't have got worse than the first time. So I knew we could get through the second time. For me, it's actually just the fatigue. The fatigue. Dan has got this footage of us after the second day in the like afternoon when we're filming the final tribal, and it's just like I just get so fatigued. It's just such a huge day. It's so stimulating. There's so much going on. You're thinking about so many things, and actually being in front of the camera, I think you have to have a certain. Like there's a certain adrenaline and a certain kind of fatigue that comes from hosting. I mean, you have to think of things to say and you have to think of what's going on. And it's kind of like you're remembering your script a little bit and then you're trying to also like ad-lib things. And that can be quite stressful and it's quite exhausting. And I don't think you realize how exhausting that is until you actually try to do it. And it's really, really fun and I really enjoy it. But yeah, I think it's quite exhausting. And the fatigue just is the hardest part for me, just trying to keep my energy up.
I think like one thing I said to you, Liv, like during season 1 is that we were treating it like it was live TV. Like we couldn't stuff up, like we couldn't reshoot things. And like we would just roll with it. Like we would just go. And then season 2, we were like, why did we do that? Like that was so exhausting because we were just stressed about, you know, not messing up our lines at any time. But we were kind of like in season 2, like we can just reshoot a final words. We can just reshoot, you know, if we stumble on our words or say the wrong thing. Like, and for some reason we didn't do that in season 1. We were just so stressed about it, like running so smoothly and just like never stopping. And like that was exhausting, I think too.
I guess talking about that, like, what did you learn from the first experience that that we will see in the second sort of iteration of Canberra Survivor?
I think what Dan just said, like that we could probably, if we really stuff something up, like we can just go back and do it again. Mind you, we didn't do that much. I think we had I think we worked, again, you don't realize, like you watch Survivor and you're like, oh yeah, like I could be Jeff Probst or I could be JLP, like no problem. But then the actual reality of having to actually do that. And, you know, when you're at tribal council, like actually listening to what they're saying and trying to then come up with a question, because I genuinely, like when I'm at tribal council, I'm actually genuinely listening to what they're saying and trying to kind of find out information, because you have to understand. Dan,
that's why I just do it, because I struggle to listen and think of a question. So I ask more questions, but I'm listening less, I think, and Liv will ask less questions because she's listening more and probably asking better questions too.
No, I ask the worst questions, but that's because I'm genuinely like, I'm trying to, because we don't know what's going on really. Like we got people, actually that's the other thing that happened, I think that we learned from season 1. We got a lot more intel from the crew about what was going on so that we knew what, like not everything, but we kind of had an idea of maybe what was going on and what questions to ask. And I think that helped our sort of scripting and our questions. But I think, I think we learned that we didn't have to do everything in one take. And I think also I think we did a bit more preparation, Dan, in terms of, well, I did anyway, in terms of like, what we were going to say and how to kind of.
Yeah, like small things, right? Like even like when we were standing at the urn, we would, like in season 1, like I never thought about what I was going to say after the votes were read. Like literally whatever came out of my mouth just came out of my mouth, because we just did like think about small things like that. And so season 2, like we would like stand at the urn, like after we've like organized the votes, and we'd go, okay, what are we saying to this tribe? like after the votes are read and when we're saying them out. Like it was just small, silly things that we just overlooked in season 1 that we, you know, obviously because we'd never done it before, we just never thought about, you know, having to, you know, go over what we're saying at certain times that we just thought about in season 2 because, you know, you learn from your mistakes, I guess.
Speaking of season 2, now we jumped into it. What is the ultimate sacrifice? What kind of clue you can give to the viewers?
Well, I mean, the players are going to have to make the ultimate sacrifice.
What is that?
Why is that?
What is your ultimate sacrifice?
Yeah. What do you think it could be, Vince?
Oh, my firstborn baby.
Oh, what your sacrifice is, or what the theme is?
Oh no. I think it'll be
your first baby.
I think the internet comment like I will sacrifice my firstborn child to, you know, this. Anyway, if you're talking about the game, I think it will be a vote. Like you lose your vote, like what currently we have in season 41 and 42, because that's the only thing you have. That's
right,
guaranteed.
and like we definitely like I think Liv and I can probably like agree on this. Like we did get a little bit twistier with this game because we were probably a little bit annoyed that like not many advantages got played because we wanted to like, you know, have some advantages in the game. So we did make things a little twistier and we did play around with the format a little bit. It's not game breaking, but you'll see, you know, a few more twists and a few more turns, I think, in the format. But we won't give too much away at the same time.
Yeah. Do you have any expected sort of airing date? Is it next year? Are we expecting next year sometime?
When it's
going to be aired, yeah.
Well, I mean, look, it's hard to say because, like, as you know, like it's really just like when you can do it, like, and like obviously we're busy people, and like when we get free time, like we'll do it. But like season 1 took me 10 months to do, so like I'm assuming there'll be more footage this time. So like I've been telling people like June 2024, just low expectations. So let's just say June 2024.
Unless I somehow like become a video editor and quit my job, maybe.
I will say like I've had a lot more offers of help this season because we've had a lot more people around the crew. So fingers crossed that means it'll go.
What, Dan, are you gonna be editing the season by yourself again for season 2? Is that?
I hope not.
Okay. Oh wow!
It's actually unbelievable. The editing was just so good. To think that you had never done anything like that before, it's unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ring up the radio station and ask them if they remember when I had my radio interview? I'm gonna ask them if they watched.
Oh, they didn't watch. So let's be real.
I'm gonna be like, come on, guys. Maybe they'll have like someone in the background who might want to help us. I don't know.
I mean, maybe that can be your job. You can find out. You're bugged with them now. So
that's what I do. See, Jan gives me a job and I do it.
Maybe when you cast for like the next couple of seasons, just cast video editors.
Yeah.
So just
we
cast
video editors season 1 for that very reason. So we got lots of great footage from the photographer Charlene in season 2. So bless her heart, she was amazing.
Yeah. One thing I must say, like obviously I helped film season 2, but going there, like it was so organized. I felt very welcomed. It was really great to come down and see everyone, and it was good. The production value was like so much higher though. Like the props and everything.
Charlene. That was not me. That was all Charlene. Yeah.
Yeah. Next level. Like probably the best I've seen in any ILRG within Australia.
Well, she that's what I mean. Like just adding people to the crew, like people have more skills that like I don't have, Liv doesn't have, the crew in season 1 didn't have. So like I think like you guys will probably feel the same like when you're moving through. Like you just pick up people with different skills and that really value adds to every season. So hopefully it does get bigger and better. But Charlene, like her like creativity and her skills with props, like she is like insane. Like she's a photographer, but like she could be a set designer. Like literally, she's insane. So that's all down to her, really.
I have a few questions that I've been holding out to sort of quick fire one. Mara asks, what challenge would you each be great at?
Is none. No, I think I don't want to be that person who like, you know, says they're good at puzzles, but like any like game that I've played, like online games, I've been pretty good at like puzzles, but more like jigsawy sort of puzzles, not like logic ones. So I think probably puzzles. Liv?
I honestly, I think I actually don't know. Like Dan, you would almost have to answer this for me. I think
okay, I can do that because you do. This is what
puzzles,
you do.
No, like nothing logic puzzles. It would have to be probably something endurance wise. And even then, like probably not. But I think it would have to be something in endurance-y, maybe. Definitely nothing logical or like wordy. Not good at those things. I remember testing some of the ones for season 1, and Dan was like, like this
it was
is
definitely an outlier with those ones because like it was like 10 minutes, and Liv would do it. It'd be like 18 minutes. I'm like, I might just get that. Leave that out of the sample size. But I think Liv, you would be good at anything athletic. Like Liv's an amazing netball player. So anything like hand-eye coordination, anything athletic like that, hand-eye coordination, I think she would be amazing at.
I also think I would prefer the like group ones versus individual ones. I'm
the opposite. I hate relying on people.
Isn't it interesting? See, this is why we're so yin yang.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny, isn't it? But it's not about relying on people, it's about getting around people and like, I don't know. I'm just reading Matt Chang's comments.
Yeah. So you would be Keegan.
Maybe because I wouldn't throw the balls into the bushes. Oh my God.
I didn't win that though. That's a story.
And then Matt, say watching both of you right now, you both have high potential in the live game, both very personal and disarming. I agree. Yes.
I also agree.
Yeah. So do you have any final question, Josh? Because I have a final question.
Oh, you can end. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have if you're looking for, because I was promising to viewers that if you're going to cast season 3, what are you guys looking for in the cast so that people can prepare?
Oh, we're like, okay, sorry, I probably shouldn't just jump in, but Liv, do you want to go first on that? You didn't look like an answer, so I'll let you think. We're looking for, like I always say when we're casting, we're looking for 16 people with 16 different stories. I know that's probably not very specific, but like adding on to that, people who are willing to put themselves out there, like show their personality, and just sort of give it like a go, like try your hardest, put yourself out there. You know, diversity is like something that's really important to me. So that adds to the 16 different stories, like 16 different backgrounds, different age group, different ethnic backgrounds, different jobs. And I think just show us who you are. And don't be afraid to show your personality, even like all the quirks. Like the quirks really add to it and, you know, create for a better season, I think.
I would really like to see, again, like this kind of ties into what I said at the beginning. I would like to see more people who don't really know the game and don't really play. I mean, it's just so much fun watching people go through that and also then find the love for it. I think that like the same way that kind of myself and Jeremy did in that sense. Like, and so, yeah, it would be awesome for me to see the diversity, like Dan said, but also, yeah, just people who don't really know what they're going to get in, like who don't really know what they're in for. And then just to see them kind of shine, because they always do, like they always shine through people who don't really know the game, and I love seeing that. It's really fun, really, really fun to watch, and then to watch them become a part of it. So then it just like adds to the whole community, and it adds to your life so much. It's unbelievable.
I think the thing like that you're saying, sorry, I just wanted to like add on that, like people like Alex that really had never watched Survivor before, like she was like really being her authentic self. Like she hasn't had influences from any season of Survivor. She doesn't want to play like Tony. She doesn't want to play like Sandra. She was just herself, and like with all like, you know, her perfections and imperfections, like that was just her, and like her journey was her journey and no one else's journey. And I just think that was really great to watch play out like on the weekend and on screen as well. And I think it's just so refreshing seeing someone just play as their authentic self.
Absolutely.
I really want to end this with Mars. Do you think someone would have sued when Dom took his shirt off?
Is that a question towards anyone?
What do you think at the moment? What happened? Like in that moment, what do you think? You're like, oh.
Well, I think we both caught off guard, weren't we?
I think so, but to be honest with you, like I was like, this is going to be really good on who's rolling. Are we all rolling? Like, because it's great. Like, it's good. Like, it's entertaining.
I don't know how you didn't react though, because like I made a face and I put that in because I thought it was funny, but you were just kind of like, oh yeah. Sure.
I think I just thought it was hilarious. I mean, I was just like, this is making a good scene, and you know, I just kept my cool, Dan. We're the hosts, you know.
I know. I don't know how.
Keep it together.
And I think that was the thing about Dom too. Like that was just him. Like he was being himself, and like, you know, it didn't make sense at all. Like there was no idol under his shirt, so there was no reason to take his shirt off.
His shirt was like.
I think in that moment, that was just his authentic reaction to try and save himself, even though it didn't make any sense. Like that was just Dom, and that's like.
And then follow up. No. Who's coming for All Stars?
Well, Liv and I will be there, so expect that.
That could be fun. All Stars could be fun, but we'll see.
We'll see in a couple of years.
I mean, it's hard to sort of pick a cast after one season.
Yeah.
Well.
Maybe we can have a trial where all the cast come back, and then Liv and Dan will be the captain, and then they can choose the season 1 cast in their team, and then they, you know, fight against each other. You know, we can host it. You know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Maybe we could do a host Survivor.
Host Survivor.
That'd be interesting.
Host
Survivor.
This is an alliance for people. Yeah, we're locked in.
Well, I'm not a host. Josh is not a host. So.
Oh, well, that's true.
I hosted one trial.
Host of this.
I hosted one tribal. So.
Before we go as well, I also wanted just to say something to you guys, because like, you know, you really are the unsung heroes of the LIG community, because you do take all your time out to do this. So I just wanted to say thank you from like Liv and I and like all of the community up here. Like you take your time, you take time out of your lives to do this. You don't get paid, like nothing, you don't get anything out of this. So like we really appreciate that, and I hope you feel appreciated, because it's very much noticed. And we've enjoyed like watching this the whole season. It's been really fun.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we love to shine a light on like all Australian-based LRG, because it's kind of not in the focus, because it's more American-based anyway. So any chance to promote Aussie version of, you know, us, and show us our culture.
Yeah.
100%.
So just to Jay want to ask, the Survivor Canberra bus still available?
The Indiegogo campaign has ended, but if you want to contact the Survivor Canberra page, we do have some left, and we can sort of like, you know, figure something out privately. I think would be So yes, just contact the page privately.
Mara also asked, what are the chances of Melbourne Survivor versus Canberra Survivor?
Ooh.
Talk to Liz and then I guess.
Who would? Oh, okay.
I mean, it's something that like Liz and I have talked about, but like it's like I don't want to like get the rumor mill started, but like it is something that we've talked about that would be fun in the future and probably in the distant future, if I'll be honest.
Next 5 years, and maybe we will have something.
Yeah, when Survivor Canberra season 2 comes out in June 2024, we'll talk.
Yeah,
we'll talk then.
Yeah, we'll talk. Thank you, Liv and Dan. Thank you for your time to come hang out with us. Hopefully we can chat to you more. We obviously we're back out as well, so happy for you guys to come and recap other people's work and critique.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you. Any last word, Dan and Liv?
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, and we look forward to whatever happens in the future.
Yes. Hope to see you guys down in Melbourne, or me in Canberra, obviously.
Yeah, either or.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
All right,
thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So now we have Charlene. All right. Charlene.
The final one of the night.
Yes. Hi,
Hello.
Charlene.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I just realized I've got to position myself over here.
You're not in Canberra, are you?
No, I'm not in Canberra. I am in, I was going to say sunny WA, but it's clearly nighttime, so it's not sunny, but it has been very sunny and lovely, unlike Canberra.
Yep. Lucky. You don't have that Canberra internet anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Like, look how good this internet is. I was actually worried about that. Our internet's dodgy in Canberra. So anyway, that's beside the point. Sorry. I always digress conversations, so you've got to keep me on task.
Okay, sorry, what are you doing in Perth?
I'm here for work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to mention Charlene. Josh, in the preseason, he said, obviously, you didn't stood up to him. So, Josh, what do you have to say to Charlene after you met her, obviously in person when you're filming season 2? And
my whole perception of Charlene changed clearly. Meeting Charlene in person, but I actually don't know why I didn't have anything written down for you. I don't know if I didn't watch your video yet, or accidentally just forgot to write anything, or maybe I was so captivated in the video I couldn't write. Maybe that could have happened as well. I don't know.
That is so fine. That was so long ago, honestly. But also, like, I've said this to Daniel, I'm like, give me the hardest nut to crack.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
You fully like this whole season, like your gameplay, I think, like changed my whole perception from the start. You had like one of the best social games I've seen in any LRG. You also backstabbed as well, which I like to see. Obviously, that may have been a hard moment for you at the time.
My mum was like, when she watched, she was like, "Why would you do that? That is so not like you." And then she's like, "Also, why didn't you?" She was like, "Why didn't you just get rid of Brad?" And I explained the vote. I explained it to her, and she was just like, "Oh, well, I still don't like Brad. You should have got rid of him." I was like, I love Brad. And when she says she doesn't like Brad, she doesn't know him personally. She means in the sense of like from the very start, like first episode. And I told Brad and the whole group this. I was like, my mum said, watch out for Brad. She's like, I knew he was going to do you something. Mum abroad knows.
How do you get exposed to Canberra Survivor Canberra? Sorry.
Oh, yeah, good question. So, as you probably know, I know barely anything about Survivor, which is why Ben had to explain everything to me. Ashley also did a lot of explaining. Actually, pretty much the entire Red Tribe, besides Laura, had to explain every single thing that was happening for the first half of the game. So that was fun for them. Sorry, guys. But Dan and I have been friends since... when have we been friends since? 2011, I think, or 2012. Yeah, so 10 years. Yeah, we met in uni, so we've just been friends. And then he asked me if I'd be interested, and I did watch Survivor as a kid, and I did watch Survivor actually back. It would have been when we met, and so I'd seen bits and pieces of that. But also something that people who play with me know is that I don't have a very good memory. So I don't actually remember anything that happened on those seasons. I obviously understand the gist of Survivor, hence, you know, I could talk through things in my intro video, but like, you know, the ins and outs, like, you know, getting Ben to explain that, you know, I wasn't going to get voted out because we're going to go rocks or something like that. Like, I just didn't get those things, and I didn't understand expiring, like you had to use the idol by a certain point, like none of that. Yeah.
Do you understand them now?
No, not really. Like,
Well,
filming season 2, I'm obviously not going to give anything away, but like being on the crew, Daniel will be like, okay, Charlene, now this needs to happen. I'm like, and what is that? And he's like, okay, so for the 3rd time. And I'm like, sorry.
but Charlene, why made you do like spend the whole weekend in like raining, the weather, and you know, spending your weekend to do this? Like, because obviously you're not a fan, and like what sort of is it? Dan, is it just based on Dan's friendship, or is it something more?
Well, I do like just doing stuff, like when people, like I do like just throwing myself out there and doing things, but I also, if you know me, like, you know, I like my comforts and things like that. Like, I'm not really somebody who goes camping. I'm definitely not someone who's athletic. So, like, I don't really fit the bill for somebody who you normally put up to Survivor. But, you know, like, I don't mind, like, being on camera, and I don't mind, like, meeting new people. Like, I like meeting new people, experiencing new different things. So, like, that side of things, like, really was, like, nice to me. And also, like, you know, I knew how much work Daniel was going into it, and it just sounded really fun and exciting. And like, now that I've done it, I'm just like, you know, I would want to do it again, sort of thing. So, and I can't believe I just said that, because like for the first 6 months after it, I was like, I'm never doing that again. Did Dan promise a nice relaxing weekend? No, he didn't. But I think he was just like, oh, like, if you want to prepare, like, do like a few of those, like, you know, social board games where you need to lie, because he knew I couldn't lie. And I was like stressed about that. And he also said, I was like, what about physical stuff? I'm terrible at physical stuff. And then he told me, like, you know, just do some work on your abs. And I didn't do that. And obviously that showed in the last challenge. So, you know, I was so prepared.
So, at the start of the game, you clearly had like sort of an easy run, I guess, with not going to tribal as much, and also but just being in a majority pretty much the whole time.
In saying that, sorry, I shouldn't stop you, but in saying that, like, I think that says a lot about our team. If you actually look at the first challenge, like, we're crap. Like, we should actually be losing. But we kind of pulled ourselves together. And so what I was alluding to earlier with the comment about the flowers is, I can't remember whose idea it was. I think it was either Laura or Charlene, maybe because Laura had to teach us her name was like flower, but without the F sound. So it was like Laura. And then we noticed that the other team, like when they first came in, they just came in with this sort of air of dominance, and they're there out for blood kind of thing. And like, they weren't united though. They were just there from a competitive angle. So we realized, like, kind of halfway through when we were losing, that we needed to change things. Oh, sorry, it wouldn't have been the first challenge, because that was the tug of war. It would have been the second challenge where we all came together as a tribe, to tribe v tribe. So I think something that we did is we kind of realized, like, no, we've got to work together and work out what our strengths and weaknesses are, and like work out strategies on actually how to manipulate these tasks and win these tasks. And I think because of that, we were able to win. So like, I actually think there was work behind it. It wasn't that we were just naturally talented at things, because I actually think we should have lost, you know, those first few challenges. So go on to what you're saying.
No, that's okay. So like, so you had like sort of an easy run going forward, and you built some connections up as well. And then you get into the merge, and your name, you're pretty much in a split vote.
Yeah.
How did your name? Do you know how your name got out there? Why?
Well, no. I think
Okay.
part of it is because people thought I was close to Keegan, and yeah, absolutely. Like, we were working together. But like, I was kind of close to everyone, like at least from the original red. I hadn't had a chance to get to know the original blue. So one thing I'll say is that Rose never once wanted to talk to me personally. So I was like, all right, well, I've got nothing to lose here. Like, you've got things to lose. And then with Jeremy, I tried to have conversations with him, but he wasn't also interested. I think he saw it at that point in his game to work with the boys more was beneficial to him. So, but from the red side, of the players that I'd already played with, like I felt like I was kind of close to everyone. But I think because Keegan was the challenge beast, that, you know, they were like, oh, well, we'll get her because she'll be his shield and he'll use her and bring her along. And I don't know if that necessarily would have happened or not, but I think that was kind of the motive behind it. But what I found really interesting watching that episode is that, at least in the way that it had been edited, and I think it was accurate because of the positioning of the people and where it happened, but Keegan threw my name out first. So I was like, so he obviously was using me as a shield, so that maybe confirmed people's thoughts. And part of my mistake was that I actually pulled Keegan aside during the filming of that episode, and I was like, oh, let's have a chat one-on-one. And that definitely, being, I guess, naive to the game Survivor, that would have put a threat on me, right? Like, oh, yep, she's definitely, like, she pulled Keegan aside out of this group setting. They're definitely close. So, you know, I know that that was a mistake of mine as well.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, number one, so what is Ben that, because the story is you and Ben are, like, power couple. So what is Ben, you know, what drew you to Ben? Like, what makes you work so well together?
I don't really have a reason in that. When, like, I think Ben and I are similar in a social sense, that we automatically picked up cues from one another, that we were the same type of person. Like, you know, you would have, I think a lot of communication is nonverbal, right? And I think that was so evident with both of us from the start. Like, you know, something would happen over here. Something would happen over here, and then we both, you know, you could sense the other person thought the same thing about that situation. So we just were aligned in that way, I guess. So it was quite easy, and we didn't need to communicate a lot through words, which made it really good. We just used our words, I guess, to confirm what we already thought the other was thinking. So that made it quite easy and natural for us to work together very early on.
Yeah. Your connection with Jeremy obviously got stronger as the game went on.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Because, like, we didn't really see much of that sort of connection being built. Do you want to elaborate on that for us?
Yeah. Well, look, you know, since Alex and I were teamed up on that immunity challenge way back pre-merge, you know, we'd been kind of talking wherever possible ever since then. And we'd said, you know, we want to work together, or at least if we can't work together, at least look after each other. And I think I'd recognized that, you know, she was potentially in a vulnerable position on her tribe. And as females, we didn't want to see another female go, because it just appeared to be that more females were going than males. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't want to make it about sex, but I do think that Dan and Liv are the type of people that would want to see balance in a game, because balance gives a better game, I think. And so I was quite conscious that I'd want to see an equal amount of males and females around. So I really wanted to work with Alex. And then I gather from, you know, watching it and understanding the game later that, you know, Alex and Jeremy were quite close. And from the very start, and maybe that wasn't shown as much as well, but from the very start, I understand, you know, they were each other's kind of like confidants. And that she very much leaned on Jeremy, perhaps in a similar way, in the sense that I leaned on Ben in not understanding the game as much. So, you know, Alex had really built that trust with Jeremy. And so when that vote happened and Alex was so torn, and obviously she, you know, would, I guess, prefer to have kept Jeremy around, you could see that she was genuinely torn, and she didn't want to actually make that decision. And I think in that vote, Jeremy and I kind of came to a conclusion that we're obviously quite similar. We're aligning ourselves to the same type of person. And, you know, we just have kind of like similar values and what have you. And I guess after that happened, I just didn't like the way that happened. And I know that he didn't like the way that happened. So I asked him, like, I was like, hey, can you come over here and like, let's have a talk? Because I didn't even know what to say, but I just knew that we needed to talk and nut it out. And it's like, well, how do you feel about this? Because I didn't feel good about it. And, you know, we felt the same way after that vote, and we didn't want to let anything like that happen again. And I think you do see some of that conversation in the following episode as well. And after that, we just kind of, I don't know if that we necessarily expressed it, but we had this mutual understanding that, like, again, like, I'll look after you and you look after me, because I think we've gone through this thing together. We didn't want to see that happen to Alex. She didn't deserve that. So let's, in a way, look after each other in the way that she would have wanted to. I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah, and I know that's not very typical, perhaps, of like Survivor gameplay, but I guess that's why Dan probably put this group of people together. Like, you know, I don't know Survivor very well. Alex obviously didn't know it at all. So I think, like, it's nice to see those kind of moments because they're not what you expect.
Yeah. It was like Liv was talking about before, how she likes to see people that don't know the game. It adds a complete another aspect of the game as well. And especially for like big players like Ben, right? Ben, who knows the game in and out, having to play with people that don't know anything about the game. Yeah. So it is interesting to watch, and it does make for a great merge. So
yeah.
Charlene, let's just go to the final 4 vote. So you obviously voted to vote out Ben. I mean, you explained to your mom the reason why you didn't vote Brad out. Could you explain to the viewers? I mean, you're obviously on that show as well. You think that's going to make your resume and people will respect that you make a big move. Josh also said that, you know, that's the correct move, that you voted out your best friend in the game to sort of differentiate yourself from Ben as well. So and you explain to us, like, going that, why have you thought about doing a tie? And what's really make you push you to vote Ben out in that vote?
Well, I mean, put yourself in my shoes. If you go to a tie, what good does that do you? And as much as, like, you know, I did want to see Ben in the final 3, Ben and I's game was more similar to Brad and Jeremy. And one, I did think that Ben would respect that and be able to vote me out. But obviously he had 10 minutes or something. So he probably was like, oh, why did she do that? But the other thing is, like, I understood that the people on the jury didn't, I don't want to say respect, but they probably didn't necessarily appreciate the way that I probably played, and that I think that came across in that I didn't know how to express or communicate or articulate what they were after in my final speech. You know, I can look back in hindsight and go, oh, actually what they were looking for, and I probably could have said, oh, this move and that move, and when I did this, but I didn't really know how to articulate that well, and I guess that's where it comes down to maybe not understanding the game as well, but also, you know, maybe me misreading or misunderstanding the jury as well. But I knew that they were looking for blood and I hadn't given it, and, you know, maybe that was the final straw. And also, like, I think I needed to do that for myself in a way, because, you know, I'm not really that type of person, and I don't know, I just knew that I needed to make that move. Yeah. And I needed to differentiate myself from the 2 boys. And I didn't want people to think that I'd coasted my way through to the end, because I didn't feel that way, because I was, from, you know, the start of the merge, I the first 3 votes from there, I was always on the chopping block. And people kept trying to be like, oh, we'll get an idol. I'm like, that's not me. Like, I can try and find an idol, but, like, why would I waste my time when I can try and build something or build rapport or fight for my life? Because I think that would be more effective in the long run.
Yeah, I believe it was a correct move. I think you taking Ben to the end would only bolster one of the boys.
Yeah, I
votes that
agree.
they got. I don't think Ben would have got many votes either. Personally,
I don't know. I think he would have. Yeah, because he had a completely different game as well. But like, people respected Ben's game more because, you know, he won challenges. You know, he positioned himself in very strategic and critical conversations. And although I could understand and analyze that, I didn't know how to, I guess, lie or conceal certain thoughts or feelings. So I would often try and hide that, and you'll notice like at tribals, like I don't actually give a lot away, or I don't really show or what I'm going to do or thinking about, because I didn't know how to, I guess, do those two things. That I found that quite difficult playing the game. But yeah, again, it's like a hindsight thing. Like I know that now, like, but would I be able to do it again? Maybe not. I'd probably still play the same.
I have another follow-up question with the Final Tribal Council. I think from your like sort of based on my on the edit, Dom's question to you threw you off a little bit, and then sort of make you sort of close you off a little bit. Do you think that really affects the question? Really affects you? Oh, and what do you think about that question?
Really, like, I think what you see there in me is that this person's not voting for me regardless of whatever his question is. Like I knew that from the start. Like I already knew that he wouldn't have been voting for me anyway. But then when he started addressing his questions to, Brad and Jeremy, I think he only addressed it maybe to Jeremy. But yeah, like I knew that I didn't sort of have a chance. So I just kind of wanted to quash that and continue on. Yeah. And I think
feel like any
sorry.
That's right. Do you feel like any of the jury questions were like attacking your game?
Not really. Like one thing that I think, and maybe I'm delusioned, I don't know, living my happy place or something, but I think one thing that like I felt genuinely during the jury is like I didn't really feel like anyone was attacking me, because like everyone would be like, oh, like I love you, but like, you know what I mean? Like, so I think there was like no real kind of hard feelings, or like I don't think anyone sort of like judged me, or I felt like pressure or under attack, because everyone like, and like what you don't see, because you'll be like focused on this person saying this question, but like this person and I will be like, oh, like, I don't know, nice little things going on.
Oh, Charlene, I have another question. So if it's Brad, Jeremy, and Ben in the final three, who would you vote for? Since you have connection with Ben and Jeremy, and we know you voted for Jeremy at the end, but what if Ben's in there? How would make that any different?
I'd probably vote for Ben, and that's nothing to do with connection, but I think, I don't know. I guess I haven't really put myself in those shoes, to be honest, actually, but all three of them played like a stellar game, and like in very different ways. In the sense
all four of you played a stellar game, to be honest.
Oh, thank you. But like honestly, like I remember that final four being like, damn, like these people are so solid, like literally. And I think all of us thought this, like anyone could win, So yeah.
Have you counted how many votes you sure have, like going to final trouble? Like, do you say, oh, I definitely have this person? Like, do you run through the numbers on your head, or you just say, oh, I'll try my best?
We didn't actually have a lot of time, and I think I think what you see in that clip there of me, when I'm crying, that's annoying. But anyway, that was just what happened on the day. But what you see there is that I was like, oh, I like voted out Ben, and then I'm like, oh, and it was actually like the person behind the camera was just like, you're in the final three. I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the final three. It takes me a few seconds to register, but no, not really. Cause I found it a little bit difficult to read them in the sense of, again, and I think that's like where my pitch was wrong, right? Because like I'm not used to playing with people that are so hardcore Survivor fans, and that's kind of why I allude to what I said in my final vote confessional, and like a lot of them have this sort of way of thinking and playing the game because they've all been in the same sort of community and stuff like that. What has Daniel said?
You have to play one of the best.
I'm glad it happened to me, actually, because I think some people might take that to heart.
Yeah, what do you feel? Can you talk us through what do you feel when we realized you didn't get any votes?
Well, I was kind of more focused on the fact that I had to make the final vote because that everything happened so quickly. So that also happened super quickly. So Daniel was like, it's a tie. And I was like more focused on that. And I was just like, what does that mean? And like, again, like I'm the last person in the room that registers what that means. And so Daniel was like, Charlene, that means you're like the final member of the jury. And then it was funny actually rewatching on Friday because I forgot, because I forgot that I'd done that, but I was just like, no! I was like, I can't do this. I was like, can't they both be winners?
Do you feel a lot of pressure? Like you're basically deciding the winner. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I did feel like I was deciding. I mean, and in saying that, I feel like a lot of people have actually kind of alluded to that fact. But when I think about it, I'm like, because there's been a time where, I was like, oh, did I make the wrong decision? And like, absolutely, like, I feel like I made the right decision. But there's something like in your brain that always goes when you have to make a decision, like, what if? But I'm like, you know what? No, there was a tie vote before that. There was 3 people that voted for this person. There was 3 people that voted for this person. So either way, it would have been the right decision for whoever had to make that decision at the time. Yeah. And I don't regret my choice.
And I'm assuming you voted for Jeremy, like, other than the reason you explained, would also be like due to the social connection that you had with him over Brad. There would have been.
That would be a little bit of a reason, absolutely. But Jeremy, from the start, had to fight for his life, and Brad definitely played an amazing game, like strategic player, like him and Ashley. Strategy is just amazing, and like things that I just couldn't do, like the way they can set things up and have conversations and just navigate the game is incredible. So he definitely easily could have won, and I easily could have voted for him, honestly. But Jeremy had a harder game to play, and he had to keep fighting for his life, and he'd always have to have new relationships. And I'm surprised, that he was able to last, in the sense of it would have just been so tiring to continue fighting pretty much every single vote. And the way that he was able to do that and still come out and have this alliance with one of the strongest people in the game, and make his way to the end. And then, I guess having formed that relationship with me. So like between Brad and I, like he just went to the end. And that was due to his hard work, but also, I think it's funny because like Brad, I guess, just didn't make as much of an effort with me, probably because he already saw that Jeremy had, so he knew he was like safe there. But this is something that I've told Ben, and one of the things that actually led me to voting Ben out is, and I hate this because it shouldn't be the case, but during the time of the Final Four, Ben never really kind of like explained to me why I should keep him and why that would be beneficial for me. And I don't want to be self-serving by any means, but it is Survivor, so I guess it is. Yeah. But Brad was like, Charlene, this is why it's good for you. This is why it's this is, like he'd go through, and I know that was his way of good gameplay, but at the same time, when there's that critical choice, I didn't need either of them to tell me their arguments because I knew the arguments either way. But I just found it refreshing that Brad was so desperate for it, and Ben trusted me, which he should have been able to, but he didn't do that extra fight, so anyway. I feel like I keep digressing. Sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. It's your exit interview. Matt said, what do you learn from season 1 that would take into a hypothetical new season? What do you learn from season 1 that you play that you would fix it in the
like the problem is I can't be anyone but me, which is really annoying because I want to be able to be a bit more of a chameleon. But I think I probably just need to watch more Survivor. I've now watched, I think, 12 more seasons. I'll probably get that wrong. But I think I've now watched 12 more seasons. It's doing it, so that's better. Be brief, but don't give out all your secrets. Yeah, like, I don't necessarily think that I was giving out my secrets, but I just, like...
People have to go and search for you in exit interviews, so... They have to be really like faithful with like listening to all the exit interview. So I wouldn't say like you don't have to like scared that you're gonna steal a lot of secrets, but because it's all like depends who you're playing with, right? Like in a different situation you behave differently.
Yeah. But I mean I think that's my problem. I don't have secrets. Like I'm just an open book, right? I think that's what I probably wish I could bring to a different season. It's like, oh, surprise, Charlene can actually be X, Y, or Z. It's like, no, we just know she's exactly who she is.
I think Dan says it pretty well. Yeah, you know the game a lot better now.
The pitch. Yeah. Sorry,
I really feel. Yeah, I really feel like going into that final travel. I actually thought you had it because I knew what your pitch could be. And clearly you didn't meet that expectation with the jury.
Yeah, and see, like I probably thought, oh, okay, like I think I have more public speaking experience than these two guys, so it should be fine. But you know what I failed to acknowledge and prepare for was the understanding of the game and how to pitch that to a different jury members. And I think a lot of the jury members, they were very experienced, seasoned, sort of Survivor knowledge people, and that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, like you had Brendan, you had Ash, you had Keegan, you've also got Ben on the jury as well, and Dom, who are probably out of that merge, probably the 5 biggest Survivor fans. So
yeah.
I guess it does help to have some knowledge, unfortunately.
No, but that's just, it is what it is, you know. And like I know it sounds so stupid, but like I'm glad that like I'm the person that would experience like lesser votes, because I feel like I have like a very good understanding. Like I am the way I am, and like I'm never going to question what I did. Like I'm like, yes, I can acknowledge that I should have known the game better and should have had like a better pitch to be able to articulate to this certain jury in a certain way, but I'm not going to like lose any sleep over that. And I know that I've still come out like having a really great experience, having learned something about myself, about other people, and you know, I've made really great friends along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know that sounds
and I guess
really,
the friends you made along the way, that matters.
Yeah. I think everybody looks back to their experience and it's like, hang on, the amount of friends I've gained from this one experience, from this like random 2-day weekend.
It's super positive. I love it.
Yeah. And you obviously well, I was helping film season 2, but clearly you got into production quite well. So you clearly want to stay with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, I love these people that I've met. Like I obviously love Dan, like I'm going to support whatever he does in life. But also like just I love spending time with these people. I love talking about the game with these people. You know, like there were so many moments when we were filming season 2, I'd like pinch you and I'd be like, oh my God, like why did this happen? You know, so like I obviously love it. And like there was no doubt it. Like I love Survivor before it. I'm just like very bad at understanding the game and like remembering what happens in what sequence.
Are you gonna watch like the other LRG games based in Australia, or are you watching Survivor now, or?
Well, I watched Backyard Survivor with Andrew in it because obviously I'm close friends with Andrew as well. So like I was super addicted to that. Like every Sunday night. There was actually one time I went to the emergency room and I was watching it from there. I was like obsessed. I was like, nah, still gonna watch it. And then obviously Matt Ching's in this next season, so I'm going to watch that too. I'm really bad. Like I barely watch TV, partly because I don't have a very good work-life balance. But I do want to watch more, particularly now that I'm like, I guess, more involved in the community. I do want to watch a lot more, and like I find it like very fun, and like being able to have banter with people and like different people's takes on different scenarios and situations. So I do definitely want to watch more of the LRGs that come out.
Yeah,
I need to watch Melbourne Survivor. So.
Yes.
Sorry.
Watch us fail.
So which season do you get voted out first? Because I'll just start with that one.
Rude.
Just kidding.
So we asked this question to all of our merge players. Who would you like to see come back for a hypothetical All-Stars second chance season?
Yeah, I'm laughing at myself because like when I was thinking about this before I hopped on, I was like, oh, I want so many people. And I was like, I wonder if I could ask for 3 each. But then I was like, no, Vince will shut that down because Vince just doesn't get me. So I was like, I'm not
it's
even
live. Live's not fair. You have to make this.
You can only say that.
You can only say your boyfriend or your mum. You can't say both.
Vince is so to the book. So yeah, you have to choose two females and 2 males.
That's okay. So I thought I'd choose a male and a female, like from a pre-merge and then post-merge.
Okay.
Or merge. I don't see again, like I don't know what the right words are to describe these things in Survivor. But for male, I would choose Aston because I felt like I wanted to see more of his game. And I think he's got more layers and he's more complex than we're able to see because he's only there for like a shorter period of time. And I'd like to peel some of those layers off and like see more of that game in a future season. And then the other male I found really difficult to choose because it was actually between Brad and Ben. And I was like, nah, I can't make that decision again. So I'm just not going to make that decision. And Vince hates me. And
you can pick one. You don't have to pick. You can pick 1 or 2. As long as not 3.
I'm just not picking either of them. I'm just putting that out there into the universe. Because they're both really great strategic players. They're also both super lovely people. So they can like manipulate people at the same time as being super charismatic and charming. And you're like, how is that possible? And then no one hates them at the end of the day. Like it doesn't matter what moves they make. No one hates them. It's quite impressive to watch. And then for females, I would love to choose Charlene because I think, again, she had so much more to give to the game, gone too soon. And then I'd like to see Ashley and Charlene actually on the same season. I love them both so much. They're such different people. And I just think they're both incredibly intelligent, strong women. And then like it's just funny how they like play together and then they don't play together. And I would like to see that on a season as well. Like they both have so much more to give. And like Ashley, cut too soon. She could have won easily.
But you voted her out, didn't you? No, wait, did you? No.
I didn't vote her out. I knew before the vote that she was getting votes on her, but I was not going to vote her out. Like even if I was like voting on the losing vote, like I was like, no. Like, and I don't know necessarily that she would do that for me, but that's what I wanted to do, and that was my conviction. So,
yeah.
I love you.
Any sort of like, my last question would be any sort of moments that didn't make the edit that stood up to you.
Like personal moments or just moments in general?
It can be anything. It can be anything.
actually, it doesn't make sense to be in the edit, but there was this like one moment where, yeah, like I grabbed Jeremy after the Alex vote, and then like, you know, we were talking, and then someone came over, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Brendan. Sorry, Brendan. But in any other circumstance in that game, it would have been inappropriate for me to do this. But I was like, sorry, you can't be part of this conversation because we've just gone through something and it just needs to be the two of us. And I'm like, so sorry to whoever it was. I'm pretty sure it was Brendan, but either way, I'm sorry to whoever it was. But like, I was just like, no, I know. And like in any other circumstance, that would have been so terrible because they would have been like, Charlene is this way. She's cutting us out of a conversation. Obviously, she's trying to manipulate something with Jeremy. But it was just this like very raw and authentic moment that I think everyone understood. And I just didn't understand why that person had decided to insert themselves in the conversation. I understand normally you would do that because you're like, why are these two people talking? But like in that circumstance, I think it was understandable for most people. So I felt bad about that, but yes, that obviously did make the edit, but I thought it was funny in hindsight.
It'll be funny.
Yeah, it'd been hilarious to put it in the edit. I reckon. Yeah,
you can't be part of this. You can't say yes. That's not what I meant by it, but, you know.
All right. Any other questions or anything for us, Charlene, tonight, or?
No, but thank you so much for all the effort that you put in every week. Like, I know that this is not what you do for work. This is what you do in your personal time. You obviously have a huge passion for the game and you commit like time and your own resources. So thank you so much for doing that. And thank you for just being fans of the show. And thank you to Dan and Liv and the whole crew. Because like, honestly, none of this would have happened without them. Amazing job. And I am so, so thrilled to be part of this community.
Yeah. Charlene, we hope to see you in another version, maybe in Back Out. I mean, you could be filming Back Out right now. We never know. And maybe you'll come on to Melbourne.
Telling me that. They're like, oh, you're over there for Backyard Survivor. I'm like, I don't even think Carl and Brian, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think they would hang out with me. Like, both Daniel and Matt Ching has like messaged them. Like, it sounds like I'm some desperate housewife who has no friends over here, which is kind of accurate actually. But they're like, oh, do you guys have a watch party? Can Charlene go along? I'm like, this is really sad that like people need to like team me up to make friends. So I don't think I'll be going on Backyard anytime soon.
Are you going to the watch party though?
Am I going to the watch party? Well, I don't know that there is one. If there is, I'm definitely not invited. I can assure you.
I don't know. We don't know.
I think they've actually already had like a watch party this season for.
Yeah, I think it's for the players. Yeah, for the crew.
Yeah, I think they've already had a watch players. I think they've already had one. But in saying that though, I don't see why there wouldn't be like a live sort of party for the final or like the first episode.
When does it come out?
Next
comes out.
It's on the Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, next 24. Yeah.
I'll be here for the long haul, so you know.
Well, Charlene, it would be great. We can get you on the recap because I know you'll be watching. So it'll be great. We can final this one time and can do this. We can talk about other people.
As long as Matt Ching is winning, then I'm happy to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm going to have some huge issues.
But we never know. We never know. Yeah. Like, you know, Matt will be. I don't know, but hopefully Matt's winning. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah, they did. They did a season watch party for cast and crew.
You were not crew.
You were not crew.
Yeah. Wait. You
don't need to lie anymore.
Video's already come out.
All right. This is what he said to me in person, I believe.
Right. I understand.
He got everyone, absolutely everyone with that.
He's good at
lying, anyway, he's really good. See, that's yeah.
Or is it lying? Oh yeah, he's lying. Yeah,
it's lying.
He's ready to win. I'm telling you, he's a silent assassin, but you'll still love him at the end of the day. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
I think that's it for tonight.
Yeah, I think we're done. 2.5 hours. Woo.
Go to the toilet, have some food, have some water.
We have 2 more to go tomorrow, and I think that's probably. We still have to fix up time with Carlene.
I just don't know when that's going to happen.
Carlene, if you're watching, use the internet here.
Charlene should go to like lifts or bands or a dance place because the internet's fine. I'm a little bit worried about because I was thinking maybe it's a Canberra connection issue, but
yeah.
Not
too sure. But anyway, thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Charlene.
We'll have
Thank
the
you.
winner and the runner up tomorrow.
8:30.
We can. Yep, that's it.
All right.
All right.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
See ya.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, I gotta go. I need to work tomorrow. So, see ya.
We're still live.
Yeah. Fuck.